So I call this meeting to order at 4:40 p.m. Moving on to our territorial acknowledgement, we respectfully acknowledge that the SFSS is located on the traditional and unceded territories of the Coast Salish peoples, including the Musqueam, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, Coquitlam, and Catsi nations. Unceded means these territories have never been handed over, sold, or given up by these nations, and we are currently situated on occupied territories. I will now move on to the roll call of attendance, starting with the Archaeology Student Society. Let me just check whether they sent regrets. They have not sent regrets. We are moving on to the behavioral neuroscience student. Behavioral neuroscience sent regrets. We are moving on to the biology student association, biology student union.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nick. My pronouns are he, him, his, and all my access needs have been met.
Sounds good. We are moving on to the biomedical physiology and kinesiology student union.
Hi everyone, my name is Jovan, he, him, his, and all of my accent needs are met.
Sounds good. We are moving on to the business administration student association.
Hi everyone, my name is Meha Sidhu. I use she, her pronouns, and all my access needs have been met.
We're just in the same room, so speaking out of the same computer. Moving on to the chemistry student society. Chemistry Student Society is not here. Moving on to Cognitive Science Student Society. Cognitive Science is not here. Moving on to Computing Science Student Society.
Hello, my name is Mabel. Pronouns are she, her. All my access needs are met.
Thank you. Moving on to Data Science Student Society. Hi, my name is Jennifer, she, her, and all my access needs are met. Moving on to the Earth Science Student Union. Hello, y'all. My name is Eden, he, him, all access needs met. Moving on to the Engineering Science Student Society. Sorry, let me double check that. Engineering sent regrets. Moving on to the Environment Science Student Union.
Hi, everyone. I'm Grayson Bark, he, him pronouns, and all my access needs are met. Thank you.
All right, moving on to the Health Science Undergraduate Student Union. Hi, everyone. My name is Ashika. My pronouns are she, her. Access needs are met. Moving on to the History Student Union.
Hi, my name's Emilio. I'm here. I'm really sick, so I'll be dipping sometime mid-meeting, but nice to see everyone again. Thanks.
Moving on to Indigenous Studies Student Union.
Hi, Evan Achitola, he, him, his access needs are met.
Moving on to International Studies Student Association.
Hi, my name's Chloe. Access needs are met.
Moving on to Mechatronics.
Hi, everyone. My name's Aiden, and all my needs are met. Thank you.
Sounds good. Philosophy sent regrets, and I am here. My access needs are met. I'm just in a room with the business counselor and some of the people from SAS who will be presenting later on tonight. so they will also be speaking out of my computer, just for ease of use. Moving on to Political Science Student Union, who has also sent regrets. On to Resource and Environmental Management.
Hey, I'm Amos. He, him, all my access needs are met.
Moving on to Science Undergraduate Society, SAS has informed me that they're going to be an hour late. No. Sorry, Catherine is here. I apologize. Hi guys, I'm Catherine, she, her pronouns, all access needs met. On to Society for the Arts and Social Sciences. That is a Society for the Arts and Social Sciences. All right, they're not here. On to Sociology and Anthropology Student Union. They're also not here. On to Software Systems Student Society. Hi, I'm Tal, he, him, all my access needs are met. On to Statistics and Actuarial Science Student Association. Hi everyone, I'm Van, pronoun she, her, all access needs met. On to Sustainable Energy Student Society.
Hello, my name is Andrew. My pronouns are he, him, and all my access needs are met.
Thank you. On to World Languages and Literature Student Union. Hearing no one, I'm going to move on. On to Disability and Neurodiversity Alliance. Hi, my name is Aspen. I use they, them pronouns. All my access needs are met. First Nations, Métis, and Inuit Student Association sent regrets. On to students of African and Caribbean and African descent. Hey guys, yay, access needs are met. On to Residence Hall Association.
Hey everyone, my name is Emmanuel. EM is all my access needs are met.
Sounds good. On to TSSU. Hi all, my name is Pranjali, she, her. I'm a TSSU rep, all access needs met. On to SF Perg counselor. Hearing nothing from the SF Perg counselor, they're not here. President Liam Peng has sent his regrets. He cannot make it. On to Acting VP Internal and Organizational Development.
Hi everyone, Ashley here, they, she pronouns, and all my access needs are met for today.
On to VP Finance and Services.
Hi everyone, Jad Berlina, VP Finance and Services. Access needs are met and looking forward to the meeting.
Sounds good. On to VP University and Academic Affairs. All right, on to VP External and Community Affairs.
Hi everyone, my name is Nancy, pronouns she, her, and all my access needs are met.
Sounds good. On to VP Equity and Sustainability. Hi all, Priyanka. She hears access needs on chat for about the first hour, but I will be back to using my mic after. Sounds good. On to VP Events and Student Affairs.
Hi everyone, my name is Ariel, pronouns are he, him, his, all my access needs are met.
Sounds good. On to society staff. Facilities manager is vacant. On to temporary operations organizer.
Hi, all. Sindhu here. Pronouns she, her, hers. Access needs are met.
Sounds good. Is the policy research and community affairs coordinator here? I am assuming that is a no. On to administrative assistant. Summer, he, him, all access needs met. We're now on the consent agenda. Be it resolved to adopt the consent agenda by unanimous consent. Matters arising from the minutes. Be resolved to receive and file the follow counseling and committee minutes. I won't read them all out. The ratification of regrets section is not on here. Can we include the president in that one as well? For the ratification of regrets? Sounds good. I am going to move to add that onto the agenda. Can I get a seconder?
Events.
Event seconds. Seeking unanimous consent on this motion. Hearing no dissent, it is carried. Oh. We also have a ratification of resignation. I move. Can I get a seconder?
Internal.
Internal seconds. Seeking unanimous consent on this motion. Carried. Now amend those. I was amending those two on. Okay. Now we're on to the adoption of the agenda. I move. Can I get a seconder?
CSA.
CSA seconds. List from VP Internal.
Hi, everyone. I have a few amendments to make, so there's going to be a bit of a batch. First and foremost, I have two X-camera discussion items. I will paste them in chat right now. They are titled Finance Policy Document Correction. Just a quick kind of behind-the-scenes error that we want to be transparent about so we can all be on the same page. And then a Grammarly briefing note. I will mention briefly that this is a draft that we're just going to take a quick look at that should remain internal to council. Don't be sharing this to other people until it's no longer a draft. But just if you have some quick questions or things to talk about, those could be talked about ex camera. I will also then be amending on three motions. My apologies. First and foremost, I will be amending on a motion titled CSSS and ESSS Grant and Travel Conference Fund Use. I will paste it in chat now for accessibility. I will also be amending on a motion titled ISSA Counselor Appointment, as well as a motion titled OCEO Election. I will move this batch of amendments.
I'll second those. seeking unanimous consent? If you dissent, please speak up now. Oh. Motion is carried. I move to move the OCO election first. Can I get a seconder?
Internal.
Internal seconds. I'm seeking unanimous consent on this motion. Hearing no dissent, this motion is carried. Yes, those vacant spots are due to Eric's resignation, or one of the vacant spots is. Ashley, you had a direct response, and then we are on to Jad.
I did. I have listed again, so I can move to make this as well. Then I did want to have the ISSA counselors committee appointments also moved to the top of new business, but I will do that when we get to my second list.
Okay, Jad, your list now.
Awesome. All right, guys. So I just have a amendment to motion 6.1. I'm going to be putting them into the chat right now. So the thing is, the amendment is too long. I can't put it into one message. So I'm going to put it into 2 or 3 shorter messages. Let me just try this. Okay, so wait. Okay, bear with me, guys. It is a long motion. I have to split it up into 3 separate messages. This is going to be the first one. This is going to be the second one right now. And I am now sending the third message. Perfect. Let me know if you guys can see this. Perfect. Awesome. All right, Sam, that is all from me.
Sounds good. You move, I assume. I second. I'm seeking unanimous consent on this motion. If there's any dissent, please speak up now. Hearing no dissent, that motion is carried. On to Io's list next.
Ashley has a point of order.
Yeah, sorry.
Point of order.
You missed my direct response, and I just wanted to ask Jad real quick. Are you trying to amend 6.1 during adoption of the agenda? That would happen when we get to 6.1 during new business.
Oh, okay. I mean, either way, I just want to
So,
amend
so
6.1.
your motion is strictly speaking out of order.
Okay, so I will just amend it when we get to 6.1.
Yeah, when we get to 6.1, repaste all this.
Okay, yeah,
Oh.
that's fine.
I apologize, everyone. That one was out of order for 6.1. It'll just be replaced then. On to Io's list now.
And I want to add more presentation items, or since subsidiaries have the one, I want to add one presentation item and one motion to new business. So I'll just type the presentation in here. And this will be the accompanying motion. I'd like to move these as a batch.
Sounds good. It is just the Holly event motion.
Yes.
Sounds good. You move. I second. I'm seeking unanimous consent on this motion. Is there any dissent? Hearing none, this motion is carried. We are on to Ashley's second list now.
Actually, we're on to Catherine's list.
Yes, Catherine, your list. Thanks, Io. Oh. Yes. I forgot about the presentation. The presentation needs to be amended on now. and it needs to be amended on with a it's amended on now, and it's amended on to be done with the motion. But the amendment to the grant is for later. So you're motioning to add a presentation and add it when we get to the motion in new business. Is that correct, Kat? Correct. You move. I second. I'm seeking unanimous consent on this motion. If you dissent, please speak up now. Hearing no dissent, this motion is carried. We're now on to Mayha's list.
Yeah, I would just, the Basque Council added some things to the motion, so I need to make an amendment to 10.2 agenda item.
That will happen during 10.2.
Okay. Okay. Can I move the agenda item 10.2 immediately after the OC item, just as I have an event in the sub-ballroom that needs to be for general business.
Sounds good. Do you move? I second. Seeking unanimous consent for this motion. Oh, sorry, it's not clear what was said. The business counselor moved to move the vast common room motion up to immediately following the OCO election, which was also moved up to the front of the agenda as they need to leave early. Does it make sense to everyone now? Can everyone hear me correctly now? Can everyone hear it right? Thanks, Emilio. So I'm moving. No, business is moving. I'm seconding. I'm seeking unanimous consent on this motion. Hearing no dissent, this motion is carried. I am now moving on to Ashley's second list.
Hi, sorry, I just forgot during my first list that I would like to put the ISSA counselor appointment to be directly after the OCO election and before the Basque Common Room. The reason this is just so we can make sure we knock off these committee elections to ensure that these counselors are not fined in the future. I will move that.
Sounds good. I second. I'm seeking unanimous consent on this motion. If you dissent, please speak up now. Hearing no dissent, this motion is carried. I am now moving on to the, sorry, there's just a lot of, I'm now moving on to the CSSS counselor. Oh, CSSS counselor retracted. I'm now moving on to IO.
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to ask if it was possible I can move my presentation to the top, as I do have a visitor here and they would probably need to leave soon. So that would be the whole event moved to item 6.1.
Moving it up to the very top of
Presentations.
Top of presentations. Okay.
Yeah.
We do have the 2 committee elections and the BAS event that's currently moved up into a priority event.
No, not the motion. I can leave. The motion can wait. It's just the presentation I need them present for.
Okay. I'll move that up to the, you want to move it up to the very top?
Yes.
Okay. You move. I second. Seeking unanimous consent on this motion. If you dissent, please speak up now. Hearing no dissent, this motion is carried. Emmanuel, your list.
I just wanted to add a new discussion item, 8.2. I'll put in the chat. Yeah, that's all.
Sounds good. You move. I second. I'm seeking unanimous consent on this motion. If there's any dissent, please speak up now. Hearing no dissent, this motion is carried. I have listed, I was talking to the SUS president and he requested that the SUS grant motion be moved after to the bottom of new business, and so that they have more time for SUS execs to come to the meeting. I move. Can I get a seconder?
Events.
Event seconds. I'm seeking unanimous consent on this motion. If you dissent, please speak up now. Hearing no dissent, this motion is carried. Now we've had all the amendments to the agenda. I am seeking unanimous consent on the agenda. If you have any final lists, please speak up now. Or dissent on the agenda. Hearing no dissent, the motion has been carried. And the agenda has been adopted. We are now on to IO's presentation, Holly 2024.
Thank you. As it stands, there's not currently a presentation, as this was very last minute. But I'll just start with a basic rundown of last year's event, and I can leave the ISF representative to give you a more in-depth idea of what the plan is for this year's event. What this year's event is going to hold. Okay, so basically, Holi is the celebration of colors. Usually happens between March and April. Last year we had it was the final major event for the events committee, and it generally was a big success. It was a success in terms of turnout, and from the feedback we're getting, it was a big success in terms of just how generally it went. So basically, what does it entail? It's the exuberant Indian Festival of Colors, and it marks an onset to the spring season each March. To be fair, I think last year the day we had it, it snowed the day before and it snowed the day after. So that was its own interesting thing. And last year was the first time we had it after 5 years of not having the event due to unforeseen circumstances. And this year, ISF wishes to continue to hold the event in collaboration with the SFSS. So, just a quick budget breakdown of what we had last year. We had about $38,000. It cost $38,000 last year, with the venue costing $250. The fencing, which was the protection around the event, costing $5,700. The washrooms and washing station cost $1,000. The staging and sound systems cost $20,000. The colors, which were powders that were given out to the attendees in regards to the celebration, cost $500. The DJ cost $1,000. Security cost $3,500. Marketing and printing costs $1,000. The photographer and videographer cost $500 combined. First aid attendance cost $1,000. Post-event cleanup cost $2,000. And the heaters cost $1,500, coming to a total of $38,000. If you do have any questions on specifics, don't worry. I do plan to send out this document to council as a whole. as soon as I'm done with my part of this presentation. And so, yeah, so the forecast cost that we currently have right now is $45,000 plus contingencies. And we are currently seeking a budget approval of $25,000 plus contingencies, hence $26,000 with $1,000 to account for contingencies. I'll pass it on to Akib just to give you a rundown of how the event's going to run this year. And so any questions you could direct towards him. Akib, you good to go?
Hi everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Muhammad Akib and my pronouns are he, him. And I am glad that we are here and I get this chance to talk about the holy event. Last year, the holy event was one event that happened after 5 years, and it's one of the most exciting times in the Indian culture. We had about 900 attendees last year, and it was held in the North parking lot on the SFU mountain. We are hoping to continue this tradition where we can bring everyone together to celebrate Holi, and not only from the SFU community, but also from the entire lower mainland. We had many families come for our event with their kids, making it a really family-friendly event. Yeah, this year we hope to organize the event for between 1,000 to 1,500 people with a similar setup. We were able to reach out to all the attendees and get certain feedback about the event. And we were able to communicate to SFSS to see if they had any feedback regarding this. So we hope to look into that, fix things from last year if anything went wrong, and post a better event this year. If you guys have any questions, I will be free to answer them. As of the event plan, we do expect it to be hosted on the weekend of 23rd and 24th March, which is right around the corner for Holi, keeping the spirits high. We also have 2 additional dates proposed, depending on when the council will be able to approve the Holi and pass the motion. And like Ayo said, we are requesting for a pre-approved grant of $26,000, which will be put into advance booking, as most of the event elements require pre-booking charges. The 26,000 proposed is just a bridge amount, and we would not be using that money entirely. And most of the event cost, about 65 to 70%, will be covered from the ticket sales that we do from the event. If anyone have any questions, I will be free to answer.
There's a list in the chat.
Yeah, that was just me. Mostly Akib has covered everything that we did want to say on behalf of ISF. I guess the only thing I'll say is that we're truly grateful for all of you for accommodating this last minute presentation from us, even though we didn't have a lot of time. And we're honestly truly grateful to SFSS for collaborating with us for the event last year. And we're hoping that the collaboration would continue this year as well. We also have learned a lot from the last year's event and how to be more cost efficient and fluent with the organization. So I just want to urge all of you today to vote in favor of the proposed event when the motion comes around later. Thank you.
I'm listed. I just wanted to ask, what was your total event costs again? I didn't catch that.
From last year's projection, including the inflation rate and everything, we are expecting it to cost about $40,000 to $45,000 in total.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Thank you. On to Cindy's list.
Yeah, okay, great. I was just gonna ask for the current budget breakdown. So I think IO just sent that over, so we have that, and just wanted to confirm, did you already book the venue?
No, we did not. We wanted to get the event approved, and moving forward, reach out to Max regarding the venue booking.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for your presentation. Are there any further lists at this time? I'm not seeing any more lists, so we are moving on to the next agenda item that was moved up, which is the OCEO election. Whereas there are 2 vacant seats on OCEO, whereas OCEO is a crucial committee that requires active engagement, be resolved to elect non-executive councillor X and non-executive councillor Y to sit on the oversight committee for executive officers for the remainder of the 2022-2023 council year. This is now an election, so I am going to put out a call for nominations. You can nominate yourself or be nominated by someone else. But I am going to take Chloe's list.
I would like to nominate myself, please.
Thank you, Chloe. Next nominates herself. On to Councillor Emilio de Silva.
Yeah, I also nominate myself.
Emilio nominates himself. Thank you. That's the first call for nominations. On to the second call for nominations. On to the third call for nominations.
I'd like to nominate the SFPERG counselor, but they are just joining the meeting right now. If you could give it a few moments.
Sounds good. Thanks so much. So we now have 3 candidates in 2 positions. This is an election. I'm gonna do one final call for any further nominations. Anyone else wants to throw their hat in the ring for this? It's the committee I chair, so I'm very glad that there's interest in it. I hope that my chairing has been good. I will now move on to the election, which can I get a correction from the executives if I'm wrong? But it is a 1-minute speech from each candidate, and then a move to voting and
Supposed to be 2 minutes per candidate.
2 minutes per candidate. Thank you, Ayo. 2 minutes per candidate. All right. We'll go in order of nomination. So, Chloe, that is you first. Let me just give me a second to pull up a timer. All right, Chloe, are you ready?
Yep.
So,
I guess
your time starts now.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Chloe. I'm the ISSA counselor. I mean, I'm pretty familiar with most of the policies and bylaws. I served as VPUAA for a while, and I've been in council for longer than that. I wasn't ever on OCEO because I was an exec, but I feel like I would be able to apply a lot of my experience there. And I think I would love to spend time with Sam. I think that would be nice. And other than that, I'm not going to take up 2 minutes, so Emilio can go.
Thank you so much. Emilio, you're up now.
Yeah, I've sat on OCEO for just under a year. I was there last year. I've been here this year. I just got reelected with the History Student Union today. That's why I got to run again. I know bylaws pretty well. The only person on council who probably knows them better than me is Ashley, our VP Internal. I really support process and implementation in terms of making sure that we're following the letter of the law and making sure that we're doing right and executing our fiduciary duty. Overall, we've had issues with quorum on OCEO. You can ask Sam, you can ask, Henry. I show up, I make sure that I'm there, I come prepared, no matter how difficult the situation is. It's unfortunate OCEO is required. It is an important committee. I've proven that I'm up for it. So if I can have your support so I can continue to do good work and support Sam, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I will be moving on. We will be moving on to the SF PERG counselor next.
Hi, it seems that other folks have had more experience and more familiarity with policies, at least with this committee. So I think I'll retract my my nomination, and I appreciate the other counselor for nominating me. And I guess I'll be joining another committee. And I look forward to seeing Emilio and Chloe doing good work.
Thank you so much. When you take a look at the committees, let me know which one you want to join, and I can add it. We can add it to the next council meeting agenda. And
sounds good. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That's really honorable. Thank you. So now there's back to the two candidates. So I move to amend the motion to replace X and Y with Chloe Arnutson and Emilio De Silva. Can I get a seconder?
History seconds.
Internal.
History seconds. I'm seeking unanimous consent on this motion. If you dissent, please speak up now. Hearing no dissent, this motion is carried. I'm now moving on to the following agenda item, which is ISSA counselor appointment. Whereas ISSA counselor Chloe Arnutson is yet to be appointed to a committee. Just happened, congrats. Be it resolved to appoint the ISSA Chloe Arnutson to sit on the Equity and Sustainability Committee and the BIPOC Committee for the remainder of the 2023-2024 year. I move. Can I get a seconder?
ISSU.
ISSU seconds. Opening the floor up to any lists, if there's any lists. I'm not seeing any lists. I'm gonna seek unanimous consent on this motion. If you dissent, please speak up now. Hearing no dissent, this motion is carried. We are now moving on to the BAS events motion.
Okay, I needed to amend. Sorry about that. I needed to amend 8.1 discussion item BAS common room space in the sub. I had some BAS executives look over it and they had some points to add. So I will send it in like 2 chunks if that's okay.
Okay, but first you. Thanks so much.
Okay. Hi everyone. Sorry about the little technical difficulties, but I am excited to be presenting to you and I will get the presentation up in just a second. Okay. Awesome. Okay. So, hello, Council. Thank you for the space to share BAS's campaign for a common room in the sub. My name is Meha Sidhu, and I am the BAS counselor. Before I begin, I did want to highlight the importance of a land acknowledgement when discussing the assignment of spaces on unceded and ancestral land. So, BAS respectfully acknowledges that we learn, play, and are located on the traditional unceded territories of the Coast Salish peoples, including the Musqueam, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, Coquitlam, and Katzie nations. Unceded means that these territories have never been handed over, sold, or given up by these nations, and we are currently situated on occupied territories.
Oh, you're grabbing stuff. You're grabbing stuff, right?
Okay, sorry, I'm just gonna turn my camera off for a second. So this slide says it point blank. SFU's largest FSUs have common room spaces. The Science Undergraduate Student Society and the Society of Arts and Social Sciences were successful in their campaigns to assign specific spaces in the Student Union building for their members. Their lively spaces have now become pillars of SFU student culture. I myself am right now in the SUS room presenting to you. Because there remain available and suitable spaces in the sub for a faculty student union to build community, these mostly unused meeting spaces need to be put to their full potential. BAS believes we can also leave a similarly positive impact. So representing over 4,200 SFU students, BAS exists to enhance the undergraduate experience by facilitating event collabs, providing extensive resources, and advocating for our 14 affiliated clubs. Over 300 student leaders and all BD students. BAS and affiliated clubs are significant contributors to events because we actually have attracted over 2,000 unique event attendees just this past year. So our membership receives resources such as comprehensive guides like our BD Survival Guide. The BAS Mentorship Program, or BMP, pairs 80 first-year students with senior leaders, myself included, where they can get support during their first 2 terms at SFU. The BAS Thrift Shop is another example of our fundraising initiatives where students donate their used goods and purchase clothing articles at reduced costs. Anything unsold is donated. And also to highlight our affiliated clubs, they also host a variety of opportunities such as office crawls, soirees, galas, and workshops to build students' business acumen. So internally, BAS and our affiliated clubs gain a lot. We gain an accessible meeting space for BD clubs. We reach broader audiences for our upcoming initiatives through marketing posters that would be posted around the walls. We foster greater community within BD and have a permanent space for BAS's weekly office hours for our students to ask business-related questions. But also externally, we wish to continue the open door example that SUS and SAS have set out for common rooms by allowing anyone from any faculty to grab resources and use the space, continue to promote cross-collaboration like SUS and BAS's the Campus Cup fundraiser, and align BAS with the SFSS by sharing our developed network of alumni for other student groups to use and provide support and reaching out to any industry professionals in any faculty or any industry. When BAS coordinates an event, we operate to yield benefits that go just beyond our team. I also wanted to be clear, though, that BAS does not want to encroach on any students, groups, spaces in the sub. There are suitable spaces that are unused, and we are open to supporting other groups' campaigns for a sub room as well. The BAS counselor role was vacant during the discussion. Also, this is our room, by the way. It's very tiny. But the BAS counselor role was vacant during the discussion surrounding the sub common room assignments. And now that this role has been filled by myself, it is a priority for BAS to be a part of the sub student culture and foster collaboration with other faculty student unions while meeting our mission to benefit our membership. And for full transparency, yeah, BAS does have a room in West Mall Center, but it's quite small. As you've seen in that video, it's mostly just a storage space right now. We do not host students in this room. It's just not quite big enough. And it is often threatened to be taken away. Yearly, we are fighting with our faculty reps to keep this space. Yeah, so it does not meet the needs of our membership, and that's why we need a permanent space for students to actually be able to gather. Yeah, so slide 8 is just, we wish to promote accessibility and community in our spaces where students can access our office hours in a space big enough for more than 2 people and get connected to resources and events that are best for them. Like say a math student is interested in starting a business. BAS can help point them to resources and BD resources such as the e-co-op that our entrepreneurship hub offers. That's something that would be great for them. And other opportunities such as that. BAS also hopes to share materials among affiliated clubs, like with a potential rent an item program where affiliate clubs can cut unnecessary cost and waste by sharing our event materials. This aligns with issue policy 6. We want to empower smaller BD clubs and even other faculty clubs looking to hire business students to get their initiatives out there and promoted. This is the space all clubs can promote hiring for business-specific roles. IP12 also is highlighted. It highlights the importance of accessibility and equitable events, and BAS will put this into practice by increasing access to events for all interested parties and increasing club membership from all faculties and affiliated clubs, as there are over 300 leadership positions available annually. We want all SFU students to feel comfortable to say hi, grab a guru or Red Bull, see our upcoming events where students can make lasting friendships, explore facets of who they are through our resources offered on campus, and just find out more about events that they can learn more about themselves from. Yeah. So thank you for your time. That was all BAS had to share.
Thank you so much, Meha. I will open the floor to lists, but before I do, I just want to say if any of you noticed an interruption during that presentation, that was a BD club actually coming by to pick up some materials that were left in the SUS common room for an event, and the common room gets used all the time. The SUS one in particular, I know, gets used all the time for things like that. I'll now open the floor up to list, starting with Io.
Yeah, I guess. So I think for the while I've been here, Bass really hasn't played that heavy a part in the SFSS runnings. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's like the first time they've had like an active representative for a while now. And I guess I'm more curious as to how, because half of these operations can't start out of nowhere. So I was curious as to how these operations were running before this proposal came here. Like, were there any like measures in place for smaller simulations of these things before this proposal came, or are these to be new things that will be brought about by the establishment of this club room, of this room for faculty? Sorry.
Sorry, there's just a little bit of echo or something. I didn't fully catch that. Can you repeat the question? I apologize.
Okay. There were a lot of initiatives that were planned to be encouraged. There were said to be encouraged by having this faculty room. And I wanted to ask if these were in place beforehand, and if so, how were they running? That's the question.
Do you mean like the events and stuff?
Pretty much, yes.
Like in general, the affiliated clubs, usually we do have open access for all of SFU community to join. I think the only thing that I showcased was the BNB or the BAS mentorship program. That is like specific to BD students. Otherwise, everything has been pretty open, and I want to keep encouraging that culture. Is that what you were meaning with your question?
I'm sorry, I didn't share any of that.
Okay, sorry. I just wanted to clarify the question. Is this meaning, like, are you meaning having more students or having our events be open to all students? Because for that, almost everything that I listed has been open to all SFU students. The only thing was the BAS mentorship program that is specific to the ADBD first year students. Otherwise, I do want to continue that culture of allowing all students to learn about business opportunities.
Oh, no, I wanted to know how those things were running beforehand. like I wanted to know if the programs are proposed were running before. I wanted to know if they were running beforehand. I wanted to know if so, how were they running beforehand?
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Sorry for the echo. But yeah, a lot of like HRSA, they had an EA event that was open. 50% of attendees were CS students and extra, and then other faculties, and then the rest were business. But usually our events are pretty open to everyone. I think BAS is more like BAS as a team has more BD specific events. And I would encourage them to open that up to everyone, especially our BAS celebration gala, which happens at that year end. I think that would be nice for other faculties to feel welcomed during that.
Sam has a direct response.
Oh, you can direct respond. I was gonna direct respond myself and just say I think the question is more framed to like the events that you were proposing happening in the new BAS common room that you had said. How are they currently happening?
Oh, like for executive meetings and such, in the common room space?
Yes, so you'd proposed for the common room space. Io, is that what you were?
Yes.
Is that what you meant?
Yes.
Okay, so specifically, yeah, so BAS, thank you for the examples. Our office hours, we use a very small tutorial space once a week. We get a little room where we're allowed to just book it. And it's not large enough, like I've personally been in it, and there's not large enough to host more than 2 people at a time. And I do think that we should have a space where more than just 2 people can coexist. It's also like incredibly messy, so it's not a great space for people to meet. And then also for executive meetings for all of our affiliated clubs, they usually don't have a space on campus. Like they have to book through either SFSS to get a meeting room. But if we could provide them this space, they could have their executive meetings in the BAS room, and we can allow for that without any hiccups.
I think I'm doing mine.
Thank you, Io. We are now moving on to VP internals list.
Hi. Hopefully my list is easy to understand. I was just didn't notice in your presentation if you had a specific room in mind that you were interested in, just in the interest of figuring out what space BAS is requesting to have. Obviously, we can't guarantee anything, but I'm just kind of curious if you have a room in mind, and if I missed that.
We don't have a specific room in mind. We're open honestly to any space that can host more than 2 people, and will accommodate our 14 affiliated clubs to be able to shuffle in through. We also have 300 student leaders. They won't all obviously be in the room at the same time, but it'd be nice for them to have a space where they can visit. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Ashley. We're now on to Abby's list.
Thank you. Today, I don't speak to you as former president, AVP, any position I have. I simply speak to you as a business student. And quite frankly, outside of, being so heavily involved with the SFSS, it really feels like BD students are kind of separate from the SFSS. And part of that is that we don't really have a space to, call our own. Yes, West Mall Center exists, but we get invaded by art students. I'm just kidding. But all jokes aside, this room would be really important to me personally, because since my first year, I've always wanted BD to be able to have that real link to the SFSS where students can come into the sub or whatever SFSS controlled space and really feel like a part of it instead of a kind of arm attachment of it. So I'm in favor of this motion as a BD student, and quite frankly, I look forward to all the cool events that can take place in the space.
Thank you so much. Abby, on to Evan's list.
Sorry if there's background noise. I'm out right now. I was just wondering, so I had a similar question to Ashley. So I was wondering where you guys were looking, but you kind of answered that. The only other thing I was thinking about is like, I know I never see the meeting room that's on the third floor by the exit to the AQ being used, but for all I know, it's being used like whenever I'm not there, I guess. So I was wondering if that's an option. Yeah.
Thanks, Evan. Ashley has a direct response.
Yeah, I figured I would share that. Yeah, we actually use that room a fair amount, perhaps not during traditional business hours, but it's often used for when we bring in external groups and we want to have a little conference meeting in there or staff meetings. It's also where we do hiring committee stuff when we're hiring new staff members, as it's right next to the Go desk, and it makes it really easy for people who might not necessarily be familiar with the building to tell them where to go, as it's right across the hall. So we do use that room for those sorts of things.
Thank you, Ashley. Evan, does that answer your question? Yes, it does. Glad we got an answer to that one. On to Cindy's list.
Yeah, so I think along with everyone else, I was going to ask which room because I feel like we should determine the room before we determine anything else. And as it currently stands, there's no room that's not currently a student bookable space. So any space that we would give you would be taking away from a bookable space for students. And that's something that we would have to accommodate for first. And I'm just wondering if you were able to get statistics on any of the rooms that you were looking for in terms of how many events are currently being booked in there per week, per month, before we even jump into this motion. Just because I know that would take away some work from our team, as well as take away a space for a lot of our members. So that's a concern. So I'm just kind of thinking if there is a particular room, I think that would be a place to start. And then also next steps would be to kind of look at the stats of what events are happening in there now and where else we can place those students who will no longer be able to use that space. So just something to consider.
Sounds good. Jeffrey Collinson, are you a counselor or student? Student. Okay. So with the way our list system works is that counselors have priority. So right now it's Catherine's list, and then you will be going after Catherine.
Hi guys, hope everyone can hear me. I just wanted to also vouch for this room. For those who probably don't know, I'm the science counselor, but I'm actually in a joint major with business. And as someone who is part of SFSS SUS and part of the BD community, I see the need for this space on campus for BD to be able to connect better with the overall student society. As a lot of people know, BD kind of seems to be in their own circle, but they have a lot of things going on, and they have a lot of events, a lot of resources, and a lot of initiatives that they are always hoping to expand. For example, as part of the Student Marketing Association, we're always trying to reach out to more interactive arts students and communication students. So having this room open for BAS isn't just going to benefit business, but it's going to benefit so many other students, as Meha has mentioned before, and help build a sense of community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Catherine. We are on to Jeffrey's list. Jeffrey, you have the floor. I will hand the floor over to the BAS counselor for that question.
Yeah, thank you for that question. It's not too messy. There's just those are our event assets, our long-term assets. Like we have a coat hanger, we have vases, we have a whole bunch of other materials, and we're hoping to share that with our affiliated clubs soon. But there is like it's just not a suitable space for our union right now, and it is often threatened, so it's not a permanent space. We're not sure, like even next year, if we'll be able to maintain that place with our new presidential election that just happened. I think this president will have to campaign to keep that room. It's not a secured room, and it's not a great enough space for people to meet in. And Bassett is hoping to keep that room as like a storage room for themselves and our affiliated clubs. But if not, like we're not expecting that we're going to be allowed to keep that room because it is a yearly fight for it. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Reha. I believe Abby has another list.
Yeah, thanks. I don't know if this is the right place, but I thought I'd just suggest a room straight up. I think I think it's 2440, 2420, 40, I think. I can just throw some pictures.
Are identical.
I'm talking about the one closer towards the bottom of the stairs, or you know what side, closer towards the other side. I'll just throw pictures in the thing really quick if it loads. I think that room's going to be solid because they can fit probably 20, 25 people in there. And it has video conferencing capabilities as well. 1, 2, 3. Sorry, I'm just trying to get these in the chat so you guys have the, let's see.
So,
but yeah, I'm not sure how much it's booked. I'm sure Sindhu can comment on that.
Sindhu has a direct response. Sindhu, your direct response.
Yeah, so Abby, you are correct. Those are video conferencing rooms and our only 2 video conferencing rooms that would be taken away from students and staff. And those ones are pretty well booked on the evenings and weekends. I mean, perhaps we can look into the stats of that as well. Seated, it is, fits 18 right now. Yeah, but yeah, great rooms otherwise.
We have a list from Evan. Oh, first, sorry, direct response from Meha and then list from Evan.
I just wanted to ask like what you would suggest as a great space for Bass to exist. That's what I don't have all the information about that, and I was really open to whatever space SFSS is willing to provide Bass, because I think anything is bigger than that storage room that we do have, and it would be a permanent space. So yeah, if there's any suggestions that you would have, I'm so open to hearing them.
Direct response from Sindhu.
Yeah, I think that would be a great place to start looking for potential rooms. As I mentioned off the top of my head, I think every single available room at this moment is a bookable space for students. So that's something that we would have to accommodate or shift around. So I think a first great spot would be to look for potential rooms that could suit this need. Because the room, yeah, that Abby mentioned, 2440, it was actually booked. Both of them were booked yesterday, Monday, today, and are booked on Friday. And that's just this week, right?
Yes. That is a good place. I know some of the rooms are used, but I also would want to know the statistics of how many of those are booked by business clubs who would be able to use, who would have first priority on the business common room for that within the staff. But I will also ask for Evan's list now.
Yeah, I had a few things. So one, first off, I'll say I really support it because I think spaces for students to meet each other and study are always important. I'm just wondering optics wise, because like a few months back we turned down TEDx SFU on their room request. The other thing, I had two more things. One was that I'm wondering if this doesn't work out, if SFSS can help lobby for BAS to keep that room in Westmall or wherever it is, or either way, I think SFSS might be good for them to help lobby for BAS to keep their room if that's something we do. And then the third thing is that I'm wondering if this doesn't work out today, if we could, instead of like, if we can't figure out the how it will work, instead of voting it down, maybe we could move it to the next meeting to give BAS more time to brainstorm with the SFSS.
Thank you, Evan, for your list. Ashley, your direct response.
Yeah, thank you. Evan, would you mind reminding me of your first question real quick?
Sorry, Ashley, just a quick point. I wanted to ask if that last part was a motion by Evan or just a suggestion.
Can I respond? Sorry, I don't want to type right now. Okay, I'm gonna respond. It wasn't a motion, it was a suggestion, and my first question was just kind of a statement bringing up that we turned down TEDx SFU when they asked for a permanent room in the sub a few months ago. So I'm just asking about that.
Yeah, I had a good response for that. Essentially, the argument here is that there's already faculty student unions who have space in the sub. As Sindhu has been mentioning, any room allocations that we give to a group is taking away from bookable spaces for students, which is why we want to ensure that we are prioritizing the kinds of groups that we're going to give to. And I think faculty student unions, as kind of the top of what we represent here, allows us to kind of prioritize the faculties first. Since SUS and SAS already have one, I would really love to put BAS in the sub as well, and perhaps a potential applied science student union if one is ever created. So that's kind of the reason is we can't give a room to every club, but we can possibly give one to the faculty student unions that are situated here on Burnaby campus. As for your suggestion in your third point, absolutely, it's looking like we might have to postpone this motion until next council meeting once we've settled on a room, as we have to look at some statistics and whatnot. But we can be sure to get this BAS common room approved as soon as possible once we actually find a room that would accommodate their needs. But we should absolutely put the work in to make sure we can make this happen.
Thank you, Ashley. I'm going to go on to Io's list. I'm also going to be, yeah, never mind, on to Io's list.
I wanted to move to postpone this motion till the next council meeting so that all of the details are hashed out in terms of a room that will be taken and and everything else.
Sounds good. Can I get Priyanka's list before the motion? Io?
Oh, yeah, sure. No problem.
And then after that, we'll go back to your motion. Priyanka, your list?
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing as Io. I'm definitely interested in seeing what we can do to get BAS a consistent space, whether that's advocating to get the room in West Mall or if we can figure out a space in the sub. But yeah, given we don't have the stats today, I was just gonna move to postpone as well so we can have that and make a decision hopefully next council meeting.
Io, is it okay if we move to both postpone and to direct staff to provide statistics and information on which room in the sub would be most suitable for BAS?
Yeah, no, that I thought that was like my point was basically just postpone until we have all the necessary information before we can vote on it. That was my motion.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. You move to postpone this motion. I second. I second. We've now opened discussion on this. Meha? List from Ashley.
Just so you know, we didn't hear anything Meha said. You were muted.
I apologize.
Okay, I'll say it again. In the amended motion that I submitted, it just requests that BAS has a confirmation that we will receive a room in the sub. It doesn't specify any room, but we just want that confirmation that we will receive a room. And we do have a deadline that we would like to have this all finalized, hopefully by February 28th or March 13th council meetings. That's what the motion says. I don't know if this changes anything for anyone, if they need that extra detail of having that secured number, the room number, but that's what the motion is asking for today.
Thank you, Meha. On to...
I believe it's my list.
On to Ashley's list.
Yeah, so I was just gonna say that while I am I would be in favor.
I have the direct response.
Yeah. I don't think it's fiscally responsible to just promise a room without any proper way as to how that's supposed to work, considering that this would still have to fall under different staff members as to which rooms they'll be managing. And I feel that before council decides that we should just give a room out, we have to know which rooms are going to be given out and what are the possible effects of the room to be given out than just giving out a room. That's just my 2 cents on it.
There's a direct... Sounds good.
Sorry, I was just gonna say that there's been a lot of discussion here, and one of the main things that Sindhu brought up is the fact that there isn't any room exactly slated to be reassigned. So I feel that means that there's a huge disconnect, and I feel like it would be doing our staff a disservice if they are not included in like the sole decision-making process as well.
Thank you, Io. On to Emmanuel's direct response.
Yeah, I just wanted to second what Ayo said. Like, I don't think we should be promising anyone space until there's like exact details about that. And so yeah, I think it's a great idea to postpone this motion and to think further about spaces. And again, this is a department group, so I think we should explore other avenues, such as, again, like mentioned earlier, trying to support with ensuring that they could keep the current space as well. But again, yeah, I don't think we should be promising any group until further analysis has been done about this.
I have a direct response of 2 things. First part is I'd like to say that every time there was a space allocation in the sub, whether it be for constituency groups back in 2020 or the Sus and Sass common rooms in 2021, it was a hard-fought fight in council to get these rooms approved, and then they've shown their benefits time and time again to the groups that use them. So when you think about it, please also think about the advantages of all these rooms that have been designated for specific groups. That's just my 2 cents as someone who uses the Sus common room all the time. But I am also in agreement that we should have more information before we make this decision. So I'm going to call the question on this one, on the motion to postpone and end further discussion. Can I get a seconder?
ISSU.
Science seconds. Point of order from Ashley.
Yeah, you have to list in order to call the question. You can't do it through a direct response. Just as an FYI.
Sounds good. I will list next after your list, which I believe is next in our current system.
Yeah, it is. Thank you. I appreciate being given the time to just give my last 2 cents here before you call the question. I'm going to disagree kind of with Emmanuel and Io here. While I think it's important that staff is involved in the decision-making process and really guides us in these kinds of questions, this is why I think it's important that they assist in finding the statistics so we can make an informed decision about which room to have. However, this motion at the current time is not saying that we are going to give them a room that we don't have information about beforehand. It's just saying we are going to put in the work to ensure that BAS students have a room in our building, which is something I think counselors should prioritize, having our faculty student unions, not our department student unions necessarily, but especially our faculty student unions having space. There's only 4 of them, and while it will be disappointing to lose one bookable room, I do think it is important that we make a commitment to attempt to get them a room as best we can. So I suppose there is a sense in which I would vote in favor of postponing, but I would also like to remind counselors that we're going to find a room that makes sense, and that there should be one. We just don't know what it is yet. And that staff will be involved and councils will be involved in ensuring a finalized decision in that sense. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. My list was next, but I noticed Sindhu had a comment and I was gonna call the question. Sindhu, what's your list?
Yeah, sorry, I'll let you go just really quickly. Just noting to anyone if it was unclear, as of right now, we only have 5 bookable spaces plus the ballroom. So just that everyone knows, those are the only current bookable spaces for our members.
Cindy, I just want to clarify that's not including the study rooms on the 4th floor. Not including the self-serve study rooms. Sounds good. On to my list. I call a motion to postpone. Call a question on the motion to postpone. Can I get a seconder?
ISSA.
ISSA seconds. I'm seeking unanimous consent on this motion to postpone to next meeting. Hopefully we'll have more information for staff then and we can get an approval. I'm not hearing any dissent. This motion is carried. All right, we are now back onto the agenda as presented. I am going to share my screen again, and we will be back on track. So we are now moving on to presentation 6.1, SFU Gamers Lounge Equipment Renewal. Oh, there's a point of order from Ashley first.
Yeah, so sorry. You seek unanimous consent on calling the question, but never seek unanimous consent on actually voting to postpone. You do have to do both.
I apologize. I'm seeking unanimous consent on the motion to postpone. If you dissent, please speak up now. I'm not hearing any dissent. Business dissent? Anyone else? There's no one else saying anything. This motion is carried. Ashley, your hand is up.
Yeah, I was just going to indicate that I would like to abstain on this motion.
Ashley abstains. Thank you so much for reminding me of that. Now that that has been dealt with, we are on to the presentation by the SFU Gamers Lounge. List from Jad.
Perfect. All right. So this is the motion I actually wanted to amend. So now we're on the presentation portion. I believe I can amend it here.
I believe it's the motion when it gets the new business item that
Yeah,
you wanted to amend.
Yeah, so would I believe I could do it here, correct? Because it's in relation to the same motion. I mean, this presentation is in
For
I
ease of,
can
for
so we
ease
have
of
to
use, can we amend it when we get to the motion section? Because that's when we're looking at the motion itself.
Okay, no worries, we could do that as well.
Thank you so much. On to Rasco, your list.
Hi there. So I'm Rasco. I'm the VP Finance of the SFUEA. Before I hand it off to our president, just a quick Robert's Rules thing. So we will be presenting on Emily's screen. We will be presenting a next camera version. Now, some of the details in this presentation have been redacted because it's sensitive commercial data. But if counselors want more information, we can possibly suspend the rules right after the slides are shown, and we can go on camera to show some further things. I just want to tell this to the chair just to make sure everything's in order.
I think you just need all the details of meetings.
For Thank you, Rasco. As I'd say we should have all the information possible, I'm going to move to suspend the rules to go in camera for this section.
Oh, don't go on camera yet. Go after. Oh, sorry.
Rasco, you can list. And
so we have a presentation that is X camera, and I think all of the membership could be able to see. And just right after that presentation, it would be good to go on camera right after the membership sees that portion. For transparency, so that they see. Yeah.
We'll do that. I will stop sharing my screen for the X camera presentation.
Yeah, you can give it to Emily now. Next list.
Sorry, I was just waiting to be called on for the list.
All good. You can start your presentation now.
Okay, thank you. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, sounds good. And I'm sorry, I'll have my chat in a place where I can see any discussion. Okay, so yeah. Hello, everyone. This is our SFU Esports Association Gamers Lounge Equipment Renewal presentation. I'll hand it off to Rasco to start off with our land acknowledgement.
SFU Esports Association respectfully acknowledges the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish peoples, including the Tsleil-Waututh, Coquitlam, Squamish, Musqueam, Katsi, and Katsi nations, on which we are privileged to speak to Council today. Unceded means that these territories have never been handed over, sold, or given up by these nations, and we are currently situated on occupied territories. We encourage all to familiarize themselves on whose traditional territories they are on by checking the site native-land.ca.
Thank you, Rasco. I will go over the agenda very quickly. We'll first start up with some introductions of our club and also our team. Then we'll go over the Gamers Lounge and how it operates. We'll also have a history of opening the Gamers Lounge and the current agreement that exists between SFSS, SFU-EA, and Memory Express. And then we will go over equipment options, being PC options and peripheral options. Lastly, we will provide some recommendations for what we think would be best. So to start off, founded in 2014, SFU Esports Association, which we will often abbreviate as SFU-EA, is a student-run club at Simon Fraser University. Our goal is to provide a safe and inclusive online, in-person, and community space for students of all identities that share a passion for gaming. For introductions, I'll start out with myself. I'm Emily, and I'm the president of SFU-EA. I go by pronouns she, hers, her.
Hello, my name is Jaden. I am the VP Facilities of the SFU-EA. My pronouns are he, his, him.
Hello, my name is Rasko. I'm the VP Finance of the SFU-EA, and my pronouns are he, him.
Lastly, I'd like to acknowledge our external coordinators, Konstantin and Victor, who could not make it to the presentation, and they still helped out immensely with our presentation. And moving on to Rasko. Oh, sorry.
Sorry about that.
Gamers Launch. So opening summer 2023, SFU-EA has been successfully staffing and managing the Gamers Lounge, serving hundreds of students. We host drop-in gaming hours, social events, and competitive practice hours on a weekly basis. We also provide value to those in the professional scene as well, providing a space for Overwatch World Cup Team India and numerous Valorant, Colgate, and professional players.
Okay, so next we'll be discussing a quick overview of the lounge. So currently within the lounge, the equipment that we use are 16 sponsored PCs and peripherals that are provided by Memory Express, one Xbox One that is owned by the SFSS, and one PS4 that is owned by the SFSS. In terms of our regular operations, we have weekly drop-in hours every week that is based off of our volunteer availability. We host competitive team practices for our competitive teams at SFU Esports Association, and we do event collaborations regularly, which is to satisfy the goal of providing a space for groups such as clubs and student unions to co-host student-run events. The space is currently managed by the SFU Esports Association VP Facilities, which is myself, and the facility coordinators. All day-to-day operations are managed by SFU Esports volunteers. Previously, the SFSS facilities manager helped us procure necessary resources and did the oversight on the room as a whole. Currently, that role has now transitioned to the temporary operations organizer at the SFSS.
Great, thank you, Jaden. I'll go over a bit of a timeline from 2020 to right now on opening the lounge. So in October 2020, SFU-EA sought out procurement options for PCs to equip the Gamers Lounge and discussed this with the SFSS. The vendor chosen at the time was Memory Express, and they gave a sponsorship offer. A few months later, in April 2021, an MOU between SFSS and SFU-EA was drafted by an SFSS executive officer and sent to the lawyer for approval. In September 2021, an official agreement was established with Memory Express and SFU-EA, and SFSS continued to do MOU revisions. Then a year later, in August 2022, the same agreement was signed by SFSS. There were many executive changes at the time within SFSS, which caused the one-year delay. 6 months later, in February 2023, the MOU for the Gamers Lounge was proposed and signed at council. After that, we worked very closely with John, the previous facilities manager, to set up protocols and a system in place to host drop-ins for the lounge. And now we're here at January 2024 with many months of successful operation, and our agreement with Memory Express has ended. We'd really like to emphasize the importance of a long-term presence within SFSS that is required to ensure the longevity of the space, as it took 3 years to get opened. Over the last few years, SFU-EA communicated with numerous companies which proposed sponsorships for the lounge, and these mostly fell through because of the lack of communication from the SFSS side. We're aware that these are issues that come with the structure of SFSS, but it was not necessary for it to take this long. We're happy to see it open now, but our executives, many which have graduated before the lounge even opened, poured months and even years into this project, which was constantly halted for months at a time. We're very grateful to the SFSS executive officers that did work with us, as well as the previous facilities manager, John, and current operations organizer, Sindhu. I'll hand it off to Rasko to go over our current agreement with Memory Express.
So our current agreement with Memory Express, which provides 16 full desktop setups and peripherals. So in the first year of operation, which is ending actually tomorrow, there were no fees, ongoing costs. But for the second year, there's a potential lease agreement, and it's renewable every 2 years starting this year.
So we laid out the equipment options here. The first option being the lease renewal, as mentioned in the previous slide, that would cost about $24,000. That would be paid in monthly installments over 2 years. And in this case, the equipment must be returned at the end of the lease. These are all quotes given to us by Memory Express. For buying out the current equipment, the cost would be about $25,000 as an upfront purchase. The equipment would be owned by SFSS, and the equipment can be maintained for a maximum of 2 years. We'll go over that in more detail in our next slide. For option 3, we have buy out new equipment, which would cost about $35,000 as an upfront purchase. In this case, the equipment would again be owned by SFSS, and this equipment can be maintained and remain serviceable for 5 and even more years.
So next, I'm now going to cover the equipment options once again, just in further detail. So we're going to do a quick comparison of pros and cons for each option. So first, we're going to look at the lease renewal. So for option 1, the best pro we have is that the SFSS doesn't require any movement or shipment of the current equipment. It all stays exactly where it is. No one has to move it around. That's perfectly fine with the room. For the cons, however, the equipment in the lounge is unfortunately outdated. As we looked at the timeline previous, these agreements with Memory Express were made 2 to 3 years ago. And prior to us agreeing on these computers were already pre-used. They've been used by Memory Express for multiple events in the past. So this equipment is used as well as outdated. It is also very comparatively high cost over time, as this 2-year lease agreement, after about 3 years, is about equivalent to simply buying out the equipment outright. For option 2, we can purchase the current equipment in the lounge. Once again, there's no movement of the current equipment, which is fantastic. It is also slightly more cost-effective than the leasing, as we just discussed. The cons, however, the equipment is once again outdated, so it can only last a set amount of time, and because of that, it has a poor cost-to-longevity ratio. The equipment is currently considered in heavy use condition, and we cannot guarantee that it can survive more than 2 more years in the lounge at regular use. And for the third option, we could purchase new equipment under the SFSS. So the best part of this is that it would be an extended lifespan, right? That equipment stays in the lounge, and it's going to be able to be used for many years to come, well over 5 years. The customization on the peripherals as well as computers is also much less restrictive. The previous 2 options are heavily limited to what's currently in the lounge, whereas we can cater to what the students enjoy, what we've surveyed them on, which we'll discuss later, in this last option.
Oh, sorry, I muted myself. I'll go to the next slide. And Rasko, can you tell us about the BC buyout options?
Yeah, so we contacted throughout our search to figure out what the best deal is for the society. We contacted a few vendors, and these are anonymized here because we're ex-camera, but we can go into more detail in camera. But basically, we have we can see this chart, and we have the vendors. So from vendors 1 to 4, they had 31% faster CPU, 32% faster GPU, 2 times more storage, and customizable peripherals, but a bit higher than in some cases. And the PC price was 5% higher on average. Vendor 5, we had 51% faster CPU, 73% faster GPU, 2 times more storage, but the peripherals were not customizable, and there was a 7% higher PC price. And for vendor 6, we have 37% faster CPU, 73% faster GPU, 2 times storage. And for peripherals, this is something that's key, customized and optimized from student user feedback. And the PC price is 4% higher.
Sorry, I saw a list in the chat.
Yeah,
I'm
there's a
not sure
list.
if I'm supposed to address that or if the chair is supposed to address that. So sorry about that.
It was my own list as a chair. I just had a brief question. Normally I wouldn't ask in the middle of a presentation, but I don't know what a peripheral is. I'm
Oh, okay.
probably showing my lack of gaming experience. I know I am, but
No, that's all
what is a
completely
peripheral?
fine.
Just for
Yeah, peripherals consist of, let's say, the mice, the keyboard, and also the monitor. It also includes the headset. I don't remember if I'm forgetting anything, but it would basically be all the components that are plugged into the computer and that people use to actually use the computer.
Thank you so much.
Of course. And sorry, I'd also like to mention in peripherals on this part right here, there's a slight typo here. It should be double the cost of vendor 6 in comparison, not vendor 3. Yeah, and we'll go over to the next slide so Jaden can discuss about the peripherals.
Yes, thank you very much, Chair, for addressing the whole what is a peripheral issue. I think that's very important to address. We plan to discuss this now. So in our most recent experience survey, which we give to all our guests in the lounge, we surveyed them on what was good about the lounge, what was bad about the lounge. And that ranged from operating hours to how friendly the staff was and how good the equipment was to them. The biggest and most impactful change that we observed was in the peripherals. So in the Gamers Lounge, peripherals refers to things like controllers, monitors, mice, and keyboards and headphones, right? The things that you use to use a computer, right? That you have at home, that you have on your laptop. And so in our case, we were able to work with vendor 6 to identify a slate of more cost-effective and optimized peripherals that fit the needs of the students. We did consult the other vendors that we had discussed with, but they were unable to provide adequate support regarding peripherals in the estimated price range that would fit the needs of the students. So examples of improvements, as you can see in this list, I'm going to go over very briefly, just more accurate mice, for example, smaller keyboards, higher quality headphones, adjustable monitors. So these are all things that affect the very day-to-day tangible experience of students in the lounge. And the peripherals are very essential to making sure that the lounge works well. At the end of the day, you can have as good as a computer as you want, but if the peripherals can't deliver you that experience, you're not really experiencing what you came for.
Oh, I'm so sorry, I was muted. Okay, so ultimately we come with these 3 recommendations. The first would be to purchase the PCs and peripherals outright. It would reduce, of course, the lifetime cost of the equipment because it has better longevity, it extends the viability of the equipment in the Gamers Lounge, and it also allows for repair and potential upgrades without contractual limitations to vendors. Secondly, it would be to purchase new PCs and equipment directly from vendor 6. Vendor 6 has local support and maintenance, and they have optimized peripherals and PCs for student preferences, extending that system longevity and best cost budget performance. Lastly, we'd like to discuss further lounge improvements at the Space Oversight Committee, such as fob access for executives, ventilation and climate controls, and MOU improvements and guidelines modernization. However, number 3 is not relevant to the motion that we have proposed. And that is the end of our presentation. Shall I stop sharing? I'm so sorry.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yes, please. Thank you so much for your presentation. Very good presentation. I believe this is the point where we move to suspend the rules to go in camera to receive further information from you guys. I move to suspend the rules to go in camera. Can I get a seconder?
Science.
Oh, science lists. I'm seeking unanimous consent on this motion. If you dissent, please speak up now. I'm not hearing any dissent.
Sorry, 1 second. That's per counselor.
Yep.
I just don't believe this falls under any of the four listed reasons as to why this would be.
It would be under the legal agreement reason, because they've entered into negotiations over prices.
Okay,
and
gotcha.
They
Thank you.
don't want to reveal the prices of the companies.
Okay.
I believe that is, Rasco, can you correct me if that's wrong, but I assume that's the reason?
Yes, that's the reason. I can actually quote the exact council policy. It is, give me one moment. R 9.1B.
Thank you, Rasco. I am now going to seek unanimous consent for this motion. Go on camera to suspend the rules to go on camera for the motion. I am seeking unanimous consent. Jeffrey, your list, sorry. Before we get to that. Oh, because we have a student who's asking questions, Jaden, you can respond.
Absolutely. I apologize for not being clearer with this in the presentation. The purpose of the Gamers Lounge is to provide a good performance for all students. And what we mean by a good performance is that the PC will be able to play all modern games at a high level. So we are not looking for extremely high graphics. We are not looking for their game to look really, really good. We're looking for the game to run extremely well so that, let's say you play at a high level, you can enjoy the game on that level, right? Yes, it's possible for you to play on these new computers at a very high level with high graphics, but we are more catering towards the availability of being able to play more titles rather than titles at maximum fidelity, let's say.
We have a direct response from Emily.
Oh, and I'd like to add on to that. Satisfying performance also refers to, I guess, the user experience. Right now, the keyboards that we have right now are full size, meaning it has the numpad on the side. That is not used for, I do not think the numpad is used for any games at all, but that's just what that's just what the sponsorship agreement came with. But we'd like to customize that to remove that so there's more space for students on the lounge desk for a more comfortable experience. Another thing was that the monitors are curved, and a lot of students were not satisfied with how the curved monitors felt to them in their experience. I hope that answered your question, but please let us know if you need any more clarifications.
Thank you, Emily. I'm now going to go back to our motion for moving in camera to discuss the specifics of the agreement. I'm gonna do the motion again now because it's been some time. I move to suspend the rules to go in camera. Science seconds. I'm seeking unanimous consent on the motion to suspend the rules to go in camera. Hearing no dissent, this motion is carried. I now move to go in camera. I'm seeking a seconder to go in camera. Event seconds. I'm seeking unanimous consent on this motion. If you dissent, please speak up now. I'm hearing no dissent. This motion is carried. I'm going to create a breakout room. Emily, who from your team do you need to present in the in-camera?
We will be presenting with our entire team in camera.
So that is you, Rasco, and Jaden?
Indeed. Thank you for confirming.
We're just waiting on a few more people to join. If you have the counselors Ashley, Flett, Bubon, and Nicholas, can you please join the breakout room?
Yeah, for sure. Sorry.
All good. Just wanted to give a brief reminder. Hey everyone, we're still waiting for 2 more counselors to join the breakout room.
You're not supposed to be recording.
I will also
Okay.
stop recording.
Yeah.
So I'm going to move to go X camera. I move. Can I get a seconder?
Health science.
Health science seconds. I'm seeking unanimous consent on this motion. If you dissent, please speak up now. Hearing no dissent, this motion is carried. We're now on to We're now on to item 6.2. This is fast formal submitted by the computer science counselor. I will give the floor to you and stop sharing the screen.
All right, I'm just gonna share my screen. I hope everyone can see this.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, hello everyone. My name is Jake Choi, and I'm the lead organizer for this event called the Fast Formal 2024. And essentially, right now, I've been planning this event with my team, who consists of executives from other FAST student unions. So the FAST student unions consist of the Computing Science Student Society, the Software Systems Student Society, Engineering Student Society, Mechatronics Student Society, as well as the Sustainable Energy Engineering Student Society. So what exactly is Fast Formal? Fast Formal is a social event for all of the students of the Faculty of Applied Sciences. And at the event, we host 200 to 250 students. So last year we had around 200 people coming to the event. And this year we allocated space for 220 people. So for the location, we are choosing a place called Anvil Center. And it's the same location as where Fast Formal was held last year. And it's a very easily transit accessible location as it's right next to a SkyTrain train station. And it will be held on Friday, March 15th in the evening. So for the expense breakdown, the Anvil Center venue is estimated to be around $26,200, which consists of the space rental being $3,100, catering at $18,500 for 220 students, as well as service, AV, and insurance for $4,600. And then in addition to this, we are hiring a photographer for $500, contingency for $1,500 for any unexpected expenses and for some wiggle room, as well as decorations and lights for $400. So with all of this, it comes to a total sum of $28,600 for the total cost. And for the funding, we are requesting a grant of $14,850. So From the CSSS Corps, we are contributing $1,650. And then from the SFSS grant, it will be $14,850. And then from ticket sales, we are selling 200 tickets and for $40 each, which will sum up to $8,800. And for the 4 DSUs, which are like the other student unions, excluding the CSSS, they are contributing a total sum of $1,800. And for the CSSS, we are also contributing $1,500 that was previously purposely allocated just for this particular event. And even with the large grant amount, the DSU contributions are as high as possible without impacting their ability to run all the other events that the DSUs have planned for the rest of the year. And of course, for like a really big event like this, security and safety precautions must be taken into consideration. So for the food, dietary restrictions will be noted when participants register and buy a ticket. So we have a list for and the names of each person who bought a ticket, and their dietary restrictions have been noted. And then this will be sent to a catering company, and they will be notified well in advance to prepare a meal for each individual with certain dietary restrictions. And there will be security guards at the venue who have been doing similar events on a very frequent basis. And we will have identification wristbands for those who are 19 and over. And this is to determine who can buy alcohol and who cannot. And in addition to this, the event managers and supervisors like myself, we will be able to identify who should be drinking, who can drink alcohol and who should not be. And in the rare case that someone drinks a bit too much alcohol and they can't get home by themselves, we will be buying several taxi vouchers to make sure that they get home safe. And so Fast Formal is a very important event as it has been a tradition for 10 plus years, resuming for the first time last year after the COVID-19 pandemic. And it really gives an opportunity for students to relax during the semester, take a break, and meet other people from their own and other faculties. They can hang out with their friends, catch up with people they haven't seen in a while, and it also increases faculty engagement. And overall, it boosts morale and encourages students to continue to do their best for the rest of their semester until finals. That is the end of my presentation, and please feel free to ask any questions about it. I think I'll stop sharing my screen now. Yeah.
Thank you, Jake. I'm going to open the floor up to everyone for lists. List from Jeffrey.
How many students do you expect to serve with this event?
So in addition to all the students as well as faculty combined, it will be around 230 people total. And yeah, so last year we sold out pretty quickly. And this year we've already sold like around 3/4. So I predict the same amount as last year, or the same amount. Sorry, we're predicting to sell 220 total.
Thanks for your list, Jeffrey. Are there any further lists on the motion? I'm not hearing any further lists on the motion. I'm going to move on to our next agenda item. Our next agenda item is the SUS Winter Formal. It's both a presentation and a motion at once in new business as was amended. Before we go any further, I'd like to say that I am both the biochemistry counselor and the VP Academic and Student Affairs of SUS. I have both of these roles. Normally in this situation, I would step out of the room. However, I've been instructed by the biochem president to support this motion. So as such, I no longer have a conflict as biochem believes it's in their best interest.
Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. Catherine, I'm the SUS counselor over here today. I'm joined by our VP Marketing and our VP External, and together we're going to be sharing with you guys our plans for our winter formal.
Okay, so like Kat said, we are discussing our winter formal, which is one of our pillar events that SUS holds annually. So today in our presentation, we'll be first talking about a general overview of our event. So who will be coming, what is happening, where it'll be, and why we believe winter formal is in the best interest of the science students at SFU. Second, we'll be talking about the venue and why we chose to hold it with Magic Yacht Charters. And then third, we will be talking about the budget, so the revenue and expenses that come with holding a winter formal on a boat. And then the fourth point we'll be talking about is the safety and accessibility to ensure all of our attendees have a safe and good time at our formal. And lastly, we will be highlighting the previous winter formals to just further own in on why we believe that winter formal is in the best interest of SFU students.
So first with the event overview. Who exactly is going to be coming? So Magic Yacht has a capacity of 175 people. We're giving priority to SFU students with a buffer time in the ticket sales, ensuring that science students have priority, and also extending this to any other SFU student who wants to come. This is going to be a 19+ event, and we will have security guards at the boat who will be IDing and ensuring that everyone is of age. Secondly, what? So this is going to be a boat cruise. Guys, come on. Everyone remembers high school. Remember how fun grad cruise was and how much hype was built around that? We want to bring that back with a boat cruise with catered dinner, appetizers, and dessert, and drinks so that everyone on board's having a good time. And when's this going to be happening? Around a month from now, February 23rd. It falls within reading break so that all students can have a good time to relax and wind down. And where is this happening? This is going to be happening on Magic Yacht that docks from Cole Harbor and is en route along the shoreline of downtown Vancouver, which also means it's easy accessible for us to dock anytime if there's an emergency. And how? We need the help and the adequate funding from SFSS to make such an event possible.
So one of the main pillars of SUS is allowing our members to seek opportunities to establish community and share ideas with their peers in the science faculty. At a winter formal, it's a perfect chance for these students to kind of let loose and, learn from each other, make memories, and engage with their peers. And as Kat mentioned, there was grad boat cruise that some of us were able to enjoy, but sadly, some of the upperclassmen who may be attending this event were graduating during COVID, where no events were happening because of the social gatherings restrictions. So this provides an opportunity for these students to get a chance to have a boat cruise and enjoy what they may have missed out on at an elevated state because they will bring dinner, drinks, and dessert, which some grad boat cruises did not provide. This is a perfect way to get students engaged and relax and just ensure that they have a higher quality of life at SFU as a science student. Throughout the past year, Winter Formal has brought notable engagement within SUS, and many of our execs have heard from friends or people who are regulars at SUS attending our events asking when Winter Formal is, and I honestly just answered a DM from someone who's attended our Winter Formals regularly asking when this year's Winter Formal is. This proves high anticipation and high engagement and high attendance.
Awesome. So I'll be going over a little bit of the timeline of the day.
or of the night. So as mentioned before, it's February 23rd. It's the Friday before we get back to school from reading break. It'll occur at Cole Harbour, so located in downtown Vancouver. And so how the night will start is the exec team is able to arrive an hour before our boarding call. So 5 p.m. we're going to have our exec show up, as well as our DJ to come set up, as well as our execs who are also going to be our photographers for our event. Then from there, we have an hour to get ready to get everyone registered in. And at 6 p.m. we will have all of our guests arrive. The security guards all have a process as to how we are IDing, how we are getting wristbands on every attendee, as well as making sure nothing inappropriate is coming onto the boat. By 7 p.m., we will dock. We will leave the boat, leave the harbor, sorry. And this is when we will begin our sail. During this time, we will have food, appetizers, drinks, as mentioned before, as well as our DJ start from 7 to 10 p.m., which is the allotted sailing time. From there, we will have our dock at 10 p.m. So we will end our sail located at the same position we started, and all guests must be off the vessel by 10:30 p.m. As mentioned, we have to have every person get home by their own means. So by 10:30 p.m., everything will be done and we will all be off the boat by then. Now we're going to move on to venue. So as mentioned before, we are doing a Magic Yacht Charter. We are specifically getting onto the Magic Charm, which is their vessel that holds 175 people for a cocktail style party. So here we have attached the link if you guys are interested. But once again, you see many panoramic views. It's all round window. It's a 2-level boat. It sails around the shore of downtown Vancouver, which we will see a little bit later on, as well as we are paying for 4 security guards on board. Once again, they will be managing things like how people are getting on, IDing people, as well as ensuring overall safety at the event, which is very key. They are trained to deal with situations such as harassment, intoxication, first aid, whatever it may be. So we do have a minimum of 4 security guards on board with us. To add, there are 2 washrooms on board for easy access, as well as the inside is completely centrally heated. As you can see, the bottom level is fully enclosed. Then at the top level, it's a smaller top floor, as well as a little balcony at the back. We have a sun deck, which is fully enclosed and protected from all the elements. And once again, we are doing a cocktail arrangement. So we aren't having dinner tables out, more so tables that people can stand at. And then we have a quick little 1-minute video to show the boat for you guys. It's a tour.
So as you can see, it's extremely wide and spacious. And if there are any issues with someone overcrowding, there are spaces upstairs that we can bring them for a breath of fresh air. Cool. Let's move on.
Awesome. So we are doing our route around downtown Vancouver, specifically Stanley Park. So here you get more of a detailed view of where it would be. So once again, leaving Cole Harbour, and then we go around, we get the views of the North Shore, go around Stanley Park, where we get to the False Creek English Bay area. We'll be crossing Granville Island, as well as the Burrard Inlet. We will get all the way to Science World, if you guys know where that is, which we are hoping to get as a sponsor for this event. So pretty good. They get a live live show of Science World with the lights. And then we will head back towards Cole Harbour for the 3-hour sail. Next, I'm going to be talking about food very quickly. So here we have our dinner menu and appetizer menu. We have cucumber and salmon rolls, vegetarian spring rolls, cauliflower bites, grilled vegetable platter, European cheese platter, truffle, mac and cheese, and penne pasta primavera, which will be our vegan option for the night as well. And then for dessert, we will have fruit, cake, and then tea and coffee provided by the boat. As mentioned, we are accommodating all dietary restrictions here. We have worked with the chefs from the boat company to curate a menu for us. Our cost for this is about $30 per person, which is the cheapest menu option we could get to get appetizers and a full dinner, as well as dessert. So here you can see some photos about our cake provided in previous years, as well as our sushi rolls and how our platter for cheese will be, as well as their pastas. Now we will be moving on to our budget. So here's a big breakdown of all of our costs for the event. As you can see, today we are asking for $13,505.69. So we also have $1,500.63 coming from our core to cover our costs. We will also sell $5,950 worth of tickets. Our ticket prices will be allotted at $35 as our early bird mention, and we are hoping to sell 170 tickets. We are selling a later ticket price at $40, but we are in anticipation for our $35 tickets to sell out, accounting for this cost written above. So a little bit of the breakdown, our venue is $5,095. This is a 15% discount from their usual price, which is around $6,000, which is really good for our timing. And we planned it so that we do get that discount. Then we have $800 for our security guards. As mentioned before, they will be providing a lot of safety on the boat for us. Then we have a fuel surcharge that's about $250. And then we have a food service charge as well. Now, this one's important to mention as food will be provided for us. So they will serve us, they have food safety, and we know that the process is much more regulated this way. They have clean plates and they serve everything themselves. We will have servers from the boat team go around with platters, handing out appetizers as well. So everything is very regulated in that sense, and they're also providing all the cutlery, all the dishes we may need, everything being reusable, of course. Then we have a $500 damage deposit, which we are likely to get back. As in previous years, we haven't had many issues with these things at all, and we are pretty sure we're going to have a very clean boat experience. Then it's $500 for a DJ, which is what we got an exact quote on. We actually got someone who said that they would do the setup, play for the 3 hours, and do the takedown all for that price, flat $500. They have also played at SFU events, specifically the ISS. So that was one quote we got, but we are open to cheaper options if we're able to find that. Then we have $1,500 for contingency, and this will be used for things such as emergencies. So we will talk more about that later with Kat, but things like getting people home if it's an emergency, such as ordering an Uber. Then $5,250 towards our food, which is mentioned before, $30 per person for the food, and then $150 for dessert, which includes our cake and fruit costs. Then we have $250 for insurance, and then our taxes are about $1,800 there. And so that is our quick breakdown. We're open to more questions, but there you are.
And then just moving on to a little bit of a cost comparison to give you guys a bit of an overview of what's happened in the past and what's happened currently. So in 2020, tickets we sold were for $40 for 120 attendees hosted at the Modern. This year, we're really prioritizing financial need and being accessible to our general student body, and therefore are hoping to lower ticket costs to $35 for 175 attendees, even more people. And it's on a boat, guys. To help out with this year's financial decisions, we've cut back the cost on a lot of single-use items, such as, for example, photographers. We are moving in-house instead of hiring someone externally to reduce $300 to $500 overall. Next, with decorations that we have bought from previous events and previous winter formals, we are reusing this year to limit the decor expense. And lastly, we're not purchasing any single-use cutlery, as that is being provided by our catering services to reduce waste and help increase sustainability. As for the safety and accessibility, with an event that has alcohol in it and being on a boat, we understand that there can be a lot of concerns. So firstly, transportation. Attendees are responsible for themselves transporting to and from the event. However, we understand that emergencies may come up on the way back. And with this event being located downtown and ending very late at night, we do have that $1,500 contingency fund in case anyone needs an Uber to get home or is not well enough to drive themselves home. As for liability, we have insurance purchases made and claims can be made up to $2 million. And we have on-site security with the 4 security guards that have worked with Magic Yacht. As for food, this is fully catered with Food Safe, and all the catering staff are experienced and well trained. And furthermore, we do have dietary restrictions accommodated for. As for accessibility, this boat is wheelchair accessible. Yay, that's great. And we're also hoping to, again, keep ticket costs low to ensure as many people who want to come can come. As for some risks we foresee and the mitigations we are taking to ensure that this is a safe and fun trip for everyone. Firstly, again, with an alcoholic event, attendees may be getting intoxicated. Bartenders that are part of Magic Yacht are experienced and know to watch out for signs of intoxication and refuse service. And if a person does pass beyond this point, security guards on board are able to hold certain individuals and watch over them if they're visibly intoxicated. And furthermore, with the boat route being along the shore, in case of any emergencies, we are able to dock within a reasonable time. As for attendees with no way home, as mentioned before, we are going to notify all attendees that they are responsible for their transportation there and back to ensure everyone has a plan beforehand. And if else, we have a contingency fee. As for extreme weather conditions, we're hoping to host this again in late February so that the weather is a bit better. We're not in any snow, we're not in any drastic rain, not in any heat waves. And if anything, we can reschedule this event as we have a rescheduled event in the past and are okay with this organization.
So now to go over previous winter formals and why they were successful and why we believe that holding another annual winter formal is going to be beneficial to this SFU science community. Our attendees at winter formals get an amazing chance to build community with their peers when they dance with them. They share dinner with people who they may not usually see on campus, because SFU, we do recognize, is a commuter school. People come to lectures and then they leave right after. So this is a way for students to network with each other and make new connections within their departments and outside where they may not typically interact, because math students may not take the same courses as a biology student, for example, so they can fully interact with every peer in their faculty and make those important connections, both possibly academically and just personally. In the past, we've had the dean speak. This year, while we aren't going to have the dean speak because we don't want to trap her on a boat with us while we're dancing, because she left early last year. Last year, she came and our students were able to once again learn more about our dean of science and opportunities within research at SFU. And our SAS executive will be speaking at this winter formal, and we'll be sharing about ourselves and our experiences and possibly about more opportunities coming up in SAS and within SFU itself. And just overall, winter formal is a great way for people to make memories and just spend time with their peers and their friends and to make new friends.
And furthermore, in previous years, I know this has been running a bit long, so I want to highlight that in previous years, in 2022, the cost per person that we had spent was $81, accounting for inflation. This year, we've been able to bring it down to $77, and it's on a boat. We are extremely committed to make sure that people can come if they want to, and this is financially okay for them. We've worked really hard to ensure that this is affordable for both us and our general members, and really hope that you guys understand all the work that we have put into this.
Overall, we want to thank you guys for listening to our presentation here today, and we hear and hope to see all of you guys come out to our event. We know that winter formal makes a big difference in everyone's lives here at SFU, specifically our science community, and we are so thankful to have the opportunity to be able to cater to our community, because it does bring out engagement. It is a tradition you see at SFU every year, and it does give us opportunity to network, find out about research opportunities, or just make a new friend, new study buddy when it comes to new classes. So we're excited to hear what you guys have to say. And yeah, thank you.
And we're welcome to any questions.
Yes, yeah, thank you. We hope to get your support.
I'll keep it on.
Thank you for your presentation. I will move on to Io's list.
Yeah, hi guys. Apart from the excessive leaning on Italian food, same as last year, I am in love with this proposal. I like the planning. I like the fact that the cost per person seems to have reduced. Um, just in terms of, I guess, for any drowning fears out there, are there any measures in place just to account for that?
So can I directly reply? Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you saw the photos of the boat, the back patio is actually enclosed. So getting off the boat would be a very difficult task. In addition to that, there are security guards. There's going to be one located on the back patio specifically. So when you be watching out for anything like that. As well as if there is some sort of emergency, there is the MED that the boat company is in contact with, which is the Marine Emergency Duties. They are the highest level, they have the highest level of first aid training as well, including our security guards. And they are also able to get immediate attention from the Coast Guard that we're able to dispatch to meet us wherever we are in the water if there does come to an emergency like that. Yeah. If it comes to that.
And just wanted to let you know, this is direct questions that we have asked the boat company, and these are the exact words that they have given us.
Yeah.
Oh, good to know.
Guys muted.
Thank you for your list, Io. I'm now going to move on to Thomas and Aiden. Yes, prevention.
Hi, I don't really have that much to say. I just want to say thank you for the presentation. This is what a cost breakdown should look like. So for all of y'all out there, if you're gonna do another one for your own student union, this is a very good example. I'm very satisfied with this. Yeah, I support the motion. So yeah, we're all good.
Thank you so much, Thomas. Is there any further questions, comments, or list? I believe there was a list from, I believe there was a staff comment that they wanted to make. I'm not 100% sure. Cindy, can you speak on that?
Yeah, for sure. I was gonna list for the discussion, but yeah, I can confirm this group went through the proper process, applied for a grant. The only inconsistency I see is I think the requesting price or amount from the grant was $8,736 with $2,000 of core funding use, but that's totally fine. And just so that council has the information, the amount that was suggested or recommended based on the funding guidelines was $1,800 to $3,550. But given the scale of this event, it's completely up to council to approve more.
All right, we're now moving on to. All right, is there any further lists on this motion? I mean, on this presentation, sorry. If not, I will move on to the motion. Seeing no further lists, I'm going to move on to the motion. Sus Winter Formal. Whereas the Science Undergraduate Society represents over 4,000 students and aims to foster connection between our science students, faculty, and community, whereas Sus Winter Formal is an annual pillar event providing the opportunity for 170 plus students to connect and engage to find their community within the science faculty. Whereas this event will be held on a boat cruise with a catered dinner, DJ, and photographers, fostering a fun environment to bring vibrance to the community. Be it resolved that SFSS Council approves X amount in supporting SUS's Winter Formal 2024. Can I get a mover?
I'll move.
CSA.
CSA moves. Can I get a seconder?
Health science.
Health science seconds. I'm opening the floor to lists. List from the sus counselor.
As currently, there is no written amount to be allocated. I'd like to move to amend this to say the correct budget as 13,505.69 instead of X. Do I have to type that in?
Yes, please may you type that in.
Okay.
The sus counselor moves this motion. Can I get a second?
University.
University seconds. Gonna open the floor to discussion. Are there any lists on this item? I'm not assuming there are. I'm going to move to seek unanimous consent for this motion. If you dissent, please speak up now. I do not hear any dissent. This amendment is carried. Just as a point of information, as I'm chairing the meeting, I've been told that I am not allowed to speak in partiality in any way on this motion, and furthermore, I will not be voting on it either. Just in case anyone was wondering where I stood or why I will be abstaining from this motion. On the motion itself, list from the criminology counselor.
Thomas had a first list.
I apologize. List from Thomas.
I was gonna ask, do we do like roll call vote for this, or can we just go like by unanimous consent?
I was unanimous consent. Criminology counselor.
I was gonna say, you can't display any thoughts towards this, and you can't vote on this. But I'm just gonna say, like, the cost breakdown was great. They have great contingency plans. So like it's a yearly tradition. So it's a good thing to vote yes on this one. And I'm not one to throw around the society's money, right? Because when we had the 10 SSU thing, like I was adamantly against that. But for this, I think this is worth it. Not gonna lie.
Thank you for your list. Are there any further lists on this motion? I do not see any further lists. I'm going to move to seek unanimous consent on this motion, with it noted that myself, the biochem counselor, is abstaining. If you dissent or abstain, please speak up now. I'm seeing no dissent. This motion is carried. We are now moving on to the Bass Common motion was postponed. We're now moving on to item 10.3, the Gamers Lounge equipment renewal. Can I get a mover and a seconder for this motion? List from VP Finance.
I'll move.
VP Finance moves. Can I get a seconder?
CSS will second.
Can I get a clarification? Is that chemistry or cognitive?
Sustainable energy.
Oh. Thank you. sustainable energy engineering seconds. Whereas sub 2400 is dedicated to a gamers lounge per student union floor plans, whereas on February 22nd, 2023, Council approved the signing of a memorandum of understanding between the Society and the SFU Esports Association regarding the sub 2400 space, whereas there is currently equipment leased by the Society from Memory Express from a sponsorship agreement that came into effect on February 1st, 2023, whereas during the summer 2023 semester, the Gamers Lounge opened to the campus community and has been well received and popular among the campus community. Whereas the Memory Express sponsorship agreement ends effective February 1st, 2024, resulting in the existing leased equipment return, whereas losing the equipment would be negative to campus student life, whereas the SFU Esports executive team has sought lease and purchase quotes of several vendors and determined the most financially responsible procurement option with SFSS management. Be resolved that Council approve an expenditure of up to $35,000 from the Space Expansion Fund to acquire new desktop gaming computers and associated peripherals, collectively referred to as the equipment for the sub 2400 Gamers Lounge for the 2023-2024 fiscal year. Be it further resolved that Council ensures that a meeting of the Space Oversight Committee is convened within 30 days for further discussions into sub 2400 space and agreement improvements. I'm opening the floor up to lists. Eden has left. Jad, you have the first list.
Hey Sam, I listed previously, this was the motion I wanted to amend.
Yes. This is not the time to put the amendment in the chat.
This is the time? Sorry, I didn't hear that for a second.
Yes. Please may you put the amendment in the chat again.
Okay, give me 1 minute. It's a long motion. So give me a minute. I'll put it into 3 separate messages.
The amendment reads, whereas we're just waiting for one more section, Chad.
Yep, and now I'm done.
Please may you highlight the updates between this and the original motion. It looks very similar to me, and I'm just wanting to know whether I need to
Yeah,
read it all aloud again.
For this compared to the motion that you just read out?
Yep.
Rasco you just listed. I think Rasco can just list them out what it was.
Rasco? I assume you move your amendment. I'm gonna second your amendment and then open discussion.
Yeah.
Rasco, your list. Rasco, I don't think I can hear you.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now? I'm very sorry for that.
Yes, I can.
Yeah, so just minor typo. For example, instead of SV Sport Association, SV Sports Association, I think when it was copy pasted, something went wrong. But another thing I've noticed is that there's an amendment by Jad for the Whereas all excess funds remaining from the purchase will be reimbursed to the Simon Fraser Student Society. I do question if this is the way you do it, because this is essentially just a credit card purchase that's just going to happen and, directly paid to Memory Express. So this isn't cash that's given to SV Sports Association. It's going to go on the society credit card, right?
Chad, can you speak on that?
Correct. I just added that at the end in case we do pursue different avenues, but the primary avenue we will pursue is putting it on the SFSS credit card.
We have a direct response from Sindhu.
Yeah, I mean, if there are other options, we can look into that too, but either way, I can help facilitate that.
That makes sense to me. Is there any further discussion on the motion? I'm not seeing any further discussion on this motion. I'm going to seek unanimous consent for this motion. If you dissent, please speak up now. I'm hearing no dissent. This motion is carried. On to item 10.4. Fast formal. Can I get a mover?
Health science.
Health science moves. Can I get a seconder?
CSA seconds.
CSA seconds. Was this another... Did this motion need an amendment? I'm not 100% sure. Just want to clarify. Mabel, your list.
I believe I sent there was a slight typo, so I sent it to a simmer, but I can send it again here. If that's fine in the chat.
Please may you
It's just
send
a
it in the
slight
chat.
I'm doing it right now. It's just a slight typo.
Sounds good. Always good when we don't have typos in our motions.
Yep. I sent it there. The title is the same.
Whereas fast formal is being held by the student groups of the Faculty of Applied Science on March 15th, 2024, whereas the Computing Science Student Society, CSSS, is organizing the event in collaboration with the Engineering Student Society, ESSS, Mechatronic Systems Engineering Student Society, Sustainable Energy Engineering Student Society, Software Systems Student Society, whereas fast formal is a long-standing tradition of over a decade for students, staff, and alumni to celebrate their time within the faculty, whereas they were able to host and successfully run the event with over 200 tickets sold following its return from the COVID-19 pandemic, whereas these student groups are hosting the next iteration of Fast Formal for 220 students this year and hope to continue the tradition, whereas they are requesting $24,850 worth of funding to support Fast Formal in 2024. Be resolved to approve X amount in funding in support of this event. I'd like to move this amendment. Can I get a seconder?
Science.
Science seconds the amendment. I'm seeking unanimous consent on this amendment. If you dissent, please speak up now. Oh, Mabel, your list, if it's related to that. I'm assuming that's a no then. As I've not heard any dissent on this. The amendment is carried. Mabel, onto your list.
Oh, sorry, I realized I was muted. You just misread the amount on the motion, but yeah.
How much
That's all.
was it supposed to be? Because it says
You read 20 something. The motions it says 14,850.
I apologize for misreading. It is
Okay,
14,850.
Yeah, just to make that clear.
It is not 24,000. It is 14,850 as in the chat. I apologize for that. I open the floor to lists on this motion. List from Sindhu.
Yeah, so this was another one that followed proper process, went through a granting process as per the funding guidelines, was approved for $4,030. $4,030. 40,000, wow, sorry, hold on, let me type this in. The grant that was approved was for this much. And similar to the other one, this is a large scale event, so it's up to council on however much you want to approve.
Thank you so much, Sindhu. Are there any further lists? This is also the point when we amend the motion to state a specific amount of money. Thomas, lists?
Yeah, I'm just reading through the agenda right now. Is there like a presentation going with this as well? Like some sort of breakdown of the costs, or this
There was a presentation earlier on in the agenda. It happened immediately following the.
Oh yes, that's true. Yeah, you're right. Okay, sorry, I'm tripping. Yes, I understand.
List again from Thomas, and then a list from Mabel, and then Jeffrey, you'll be after that. Thomas, your list?
I was just gonna say, can we, if there's no discussion really to be made upon this, since we already talked about this earlier, should we just get straight to voting? But I see Jeffrey and Mabel have lists, so never mind.
Mabel, your list?
I was just going to move to amend the amount to replace X with the 14,850.
Sounds good. You move. Can I get a seconder?
Science.
Science seconds that motion. I'm gonna, as we've already had discussion on this, I'm just gonna seek unanimous consent for this motion. I'm seeking unanimous consent. If you dissent, please speak up now. I'm hearing no dissent on this amendment. This amendment is carried. Jeffrey, your list.
So I run the numbers on the catering and you have $78 per person. That seems a little high, honestly.
Sorry, I think it was $70 per person, and that's for the food for each person.
I know, sorry, it just seems like a lot to me, but I guess it's up to the counselors and not me.
Thank you so much for your question, Jeffrey. I'm now moving on to Evan's question. I assume by that you mean you're calling the question?
Yeah.
Thank you, Evan. Evan calls the question. I second. I'm seeking unanimous consent to move directly to voting. If you dissent, please speak up now. Hearing no dissent, this motion is carried. On the motion giving pass and CSSS, $14,850. That is $14,850. I can do this right. Of funding to support FAST Formally 2024. I'm seeking unanimous consent for this motion. If you dissent, please speak up now. And I'm noting that as chair, the MBB counselor is going to abstain from this one. I'm not hearing any dissent. This motion is carried. I believe we now move on to motions that were amended on, which are the Grammarly briefing note and the Holly motion. I'm scrolling back up in the chat to find these motions right now. Thank you for the Holly motion, Io, again. Actually, I believe the Grammarly motion is next, and Ashley is presenting on it. Let me find the Grammarly motion.
Wasn't the Grammarly motion a discussion item? If I'm not mistaken.
I apologize. It seems to have been missed with all the various amendments onto the motion, onto the agenda this meeting. I will continue with the new business items, and then we'll get back to the discussion item at the end. I apologize profusely for this mistake. Holly 2024 event, whereas the Holly event was held in the previous fiscal year, whereas it was an event with high attendance rates and encouraging feedback, whereas there have been student requests for the return of the event, whereas the Indian Student Federation approached the VP Events and Student Affairs for the SFSS to collaborate with them for the event, be resolved for the SFSS to collaborate with the Indian Student Federation for this event, be it further resolved to approve a grant of up to $26,000 for the holding of this event. Can I get a mover for this motion?
Events.
Events moves. Can I get a seconder?
Health science.
Health science seconds. I will now open the floor up to any lists. List from Sindhu.
Yeah, so I was just hoping to see a budget breakdown for this year because I see that in the proposal that it's based on last year's numbers. So I think it would be more helpful to have like an accurate breakdown. I see that we are requesting less than what we needed for last year, but just more information on that and what that collaboration piece kind of looks like would be a little bit more helpful. So I don't know, Io, if you could speak to that, or if a more specific breakdown is on its way. But I think that would be helpful in this scenario.
Sure, I can speak to that. Yes, as you aptly pointed out, we are more or less running the same budget we requested for last year, with I think the 1,000 just an increase in contingency. And the reasoning is the original plan was not necessarily to hold this event. And planning for this event does take, if I'm being honest here, we were very behind on this. And it's why we're using these numbers in particular. So this amount isn't solely based on this is how much it cost us last year. And we're hoping to hold it to the same amount. And effectively, our current budget breakdown is the same as what we had last year. And we're kind of hoping that we'll be able to make it through. I think the remainder of it will come from the events committee as well, but this is just so that we can start planning ahead.
Thank you, Io. I believe there's a further list from Sindhu.
Yeah, sorry, as a follow-up, so this 26,000 we're asking from a grant, so is that from the club grant line we're asking for, or is this meant to come from, all of it's meant to come from the large-scale events line?
The large-scale events line.
I have a list for myself. For the large scale events line, that's the large scale events line within the budget, not within the specifically separate from the large scale events committee budget line. Or are they the same thing?
There's only one large scale events budget line. The events committee has its own budget, but we're not entitled to the large scale events line.
Thank you. Can I seek clarification from the VP Finance? I was informed that something to do with the large scale events budget would be restricted internally because of the deficit this year. Just want to seek clarification that this isn't doing anything with that from Jed.
I'll have to get back to you on that one. I personally, off the top of my head, don't recall that. No, I don't. If our line item allows for it, then I think that's okay. But to get you a better answer, I need to follow up with you on that.
Sounds good. I presume it's going to be fine, but I just want to double check because that was a conversation that happened a while ago and I don't remember all the details. So, list from Sindhu.
Yeah, sorry, that should have been a direct response. I think our large scales events budget is fairly healthy, so we can accommodate this. But I would say, for process sake, like we should amend the motion to clarify that it's coming from not from a grant, but from that line item. So I believe the large scale events line item is 81620. So if we could change that, that would be helpful.
Thank you, Sindhu.
I'm personally fine with that. You just didn't know where the grant would come from. So that was why it's this vague. So I'm fine with amending to include that the budget is going to come from line 81620.
Sounds good. Cindy, I just want to seek clarification. Staff is no longer requesting that this be postponed to next meeting for further review of the budget.
Yeah, I think that's up to council. If you'd like, but yeah, there's room in the budget for this request. But if we're seeking more clarification around the budget breakdown and just clarity around what's left, then that's fine too. I'll leave that to council to decide.
I'm gonna take a list from Mohammed from ISF.
Hi, sorry, I've been following the conversation and I just wanted to add another thing for the request. And so the use of last year's projection. We used last year's projection because, like Ayo said, we have not been able to get the exact numbers for all the elements, but this budget that we're requesting is solely going to be used for advanced booking, and there are high chances that we may not use everything from the budget. So this will be used particularly for fencing, mobile washroom, and staging and sound for like pre-booking. But yeah, which should come across approximately the same as last year. Most of our event budget will be covered by the ticket sales, which we are hoping to generate a revenue of $26,000 from the ticket sales.
Thank you so much for that. I'm gonna list because and move to postpone this to next meeting because there's still some things that I think staff should review on this motion. Just referring to getting an updated budget breakdown. It's the same thing we always put the departments through. It's why we approved CSSS and SUS so quickly as that staff said that they had everything. It just gives them a little bit more time. With the motion, I also saw that you had multiple contingency events, as well as the event still being held a couple months from now. So a delay of 2 weeks in the funding shouldn't be too hard. Given the number of people that came to the event, and I was on campus when it happened last time, it looked like it was a great event. I don't see it being rejected. So giving an extra 2 weeks for some more staff review shouldn't be an issue. Your direct response?
First, I'd like clarification on what staff review entails. And secondly, contrary to your belief, I do believe 2 weeks will be an issue. As for starters, part of the bookings that we have to do are with SFU, who we have reached out to prematurely anyways, just to see if any of the spaces are available. And they've let us know that they are tentatively available and are probably not going to be in the near future if we do not book as soon as possible, which we would not want to do without any assurance of funding. There's a lot of planning going into it, in particular, sponsors, attending businesses and the like, and we would like to know if we can do it now or not. And like I said, the budget breakdown is still the same as what is effectively going to mirror the same as what is presented within the document that was sent to council, with any necessary changes being brought to council later on.
Thank you, Ayo. List from VP Internal.
Yeah. First and foremost, I would like to second Sam's motion to postpone. And I'd like to, in my list, provide some reasoning as to why I think this is the case. When we're planning events, and now I know, sure, Ayo knows more than me, But the budget is getting the money and the funding is not the first step. It's somewhere in the middle. And I'm really glad to see that you've done so much work in this event, and I really hope your event goes off successfully. But at the same time, if there is serious questions from staff and counselors, we need to make sure those questions are asked before we give large chunks of money to this event. I see no reason why you're unable to continue to plan and figure out all the details over the next coming weeks while we figure out on our end specific details that are needed in order to approve the funding. Giving out money without knowing exactly where and how it is being spent is not something we can be doing on a regular basis. And I'm strongly recommending that we do postpone this to give staff, as well as you, Io, the time to ensure that we have the money and that the money is being spent in ways that we're all on board with.
Direct response from Io.
Just, if I'm not mistaken, Sindhu did assure us that the money is there within the grant, within the large events budget for this event to go through with. So I'm still a bit iffy on what needs to be confirmed. And there is the budget breakdown. We like I said, we want to mirror the same budget breakdown we used last year. And in terms of the planning of the event, the planning preliminary plan is not the issue, because this is an event that has been held before. We are not starting at the beginning of planning, we're starting at the middle, which involves securing venues, securing vendors, and the like, which was why this was brought in the first place.
Thanks for your list, Io. List from VP Internal.
Yeah, I totally get where you're coming from, Maya. And I think there's a very real sense in which, yes, we do have the money in that line item, but then there's another very real sense in which, what if we need that money for something else in the future? And also to ensure that when we are spending large money, we know where it's going. It's not just that we have it, it's that we know where it's going. And I think it's very crucial that we are reviewing every single aspect of a budget to ensure there's no holes and no gaps. We need a well-rounded budget, and if more review is being requested, I think we should follow that and do our due diligence to make sure that we are not spending money recklessly. I'm all for this motion. I want to give you the money, but I want to make sure that we do so having really put in the work and having really put in the thought that the money is going towards a good cause. And I'm sure it's a great cause, but if there's people that are still concerned, your event isn't for another couple months, if I recall correctly. We have some time to think about it a little longer.
Direct response.
So just for the last response, I just want to mention to proceed with the planning, which genuinely, I do think that it will we need the time if we want to do it at the end of March. We do need all of this time for planning, and we kind of need this these funds approved as soon as possible to be able to carry that out, because we will be giving deposits for the staging company, and just like any of the organization we do, it all requires deposit, and unless we have the funding secured, we can't really do that. And just that pushing it to the last minute, there's also chances that we might not be able to get the best prices for things as well. Yeah, I just do want to mention that. And as for if there's any concerns or questions or anything, I do encourage everybody to list and ask those questions so it can be just clarified within the meeting right now. But that's just what I wanted to say.
It's up to you guys.
Um, Io, you've seen the budget for all this and you think it's all good?
Yes.
All right. I'm gonna retract the motion then, because the only other way I could see it doing is to get the stuff in time is to do a deposit. But either way, giving you the money anyways. I retract my postponement. Ashley, do you retract your second of the postponement?
I will retract my second, but on the condition that we still receive a more fleshed out budget with the exact details. I would like to see this presented at the next council meeting, but I do retract my second.
Are you fine with us amending on a request for a more finalized budget presentation at the next council meeting?
I'm fine with that.
Okay. I move to add to the motion, be it resolved that the VP events provide a finalized budget for the February 14th council meeting. I move. Can I get a seconder?
Internal.
Internal just screamed internal at me from across the room. I'm going to take that as internal. I'm seeking unanimous consent on this amendment. Well, is there any discussion on this amendment? None. I'm seeking unanimous consent on this amendment. Oh, the amendment was be it resolved that the VP events provide a detailed budget at the February 14th council meeting. I've moved, got a seconder. I'm now seeking unanimous consent for this motion. I've heard no dissent. This motion is carried. I'm moving on to the motion itself. I'm seeking unanimous consent for this motion. If you have any dissent, please speak up now. I'm hearing no dissent. This motion is carried. Congrats, thank you, and I really hope the event goes well. I know I'd ask for more information on it.
No worries.
It wasn't like I wasn't going to approve it either way.
No worries.
And thanks for your responses, Io.
No.
We now are going back to the Grammarly discussion item. I believe it's Sindhu speaking on that one.
Yeah, so thanks, Sam. I know we were tasked with bringing back a proposal on what is feasible for Grammarly. So right now we just wanted to provide council with the information that we have. As Ashley mentioned in the beginning, this is still in a draft mode. We just kind of wanted to bring this to council to see what next steps could be. And in our conversations with Grammarly, they were willing to offer us a similar option as they did for the university mentioned in the motion in Toronto Metropolitan University, I believe, where there is a possibility to give students access to a one-year Grammarly, but they also mentioned that that decision would have to be made fairly quickly. So if everyone wants to take a chance and go through the discussions and kind of look at what our options are. Perhaps next council meeting, we can pass a motion on what we want to do. So I know it was short notice, but if everyone got a chance to look at the briefing note, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. If not, please review that, and then we can see what our options are going forward. Once again, I think that this could be something that may not be done through the SFSS, but could be done through SFU as well. But however you want to move forward, just let us know and we will advocate accordingly. Yeah, so any questions at the moment? Sam?
Yes, before we get to, I have some questions on the Grammarly thing itself, but before we do that, I am going to, just out of an abundance of caution, motion to extend the meeting to 9 p.m. I move. Can I get a seconder? Science seconds. I'm seeking unanimous consent on this motion. If you dissent, please speak up now. Io, your hand is raised.
Against.
Io is against. Science is also against. Is there anyone else who is against continuing the meeting? Oh. Van
says
has...
against.
I'm against.
Okay, there are a number of people who are against. I'm going to move to a roll call vote. Evan, your point of information?
Like, was this not the last thing to do in the meeting? And I don't, did we have any actual discussion about it, or were we just being informed? Because then do we really need to extend it anyway?
I was informed by staff that it was the best thing to do at this point in the meeting is to extend the motion. I don't expect us to go to any time past 8:25. Anyways, so we still have the CSSS and ESSS grant and travel conference funding used to go through as well. I apologize. So voting against it is voting against dealing with that motion as well. So we do have that piece to deal with as well. So for your dissent, as much as if there wasn't anything more, I probably would agree with you on continuing this meeting any further. We should continue with what we're doing. Io, your hand is raised.
I retract my dissent.
I retract your dissent. I'm just going to go back to the whole beginning of this motion. I am seeking unanimous consent to extend the meeting to 9 p.m. Sorry, not 9:30, to 9 p.m. I am seeking unanimous consent. Is there any dissent for this motion? I am seeing no dissent. This motion is carried. Back to the matter at hand. I'm gonna list for Grammarly. But first, Cindy, your list.
No, you can go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, what would be the cost to the SFSS for this cheaper plan? And also you had mentioned chat, GPT and other resources. Were those also things that we were considering providing or trying to get a discounted rate for our students?
Yeah, so but if you look at some of the recommendations. The recommendation really, because of the privacy liability, is not to go forward with this. And as mentioned, to advocate that it's offered through other departments or that may need it, or through just SFU in general. Even if we do go forward with this, the feasibility of implementing it is a little bit difficult through the membership fees or however we wanted to execute this. Yeah, so I think in the briefing note, what is mentioned is just other free software that is available to students now, but probably not as effective. So it's really up to council, but I think some of the things that we wanted to flag were really just the privacy concerns with Grammarly and using that and being liable for that if we're the ones that are implementing that with our members.
Thank you so much, Sindhu. Evan, your list.
Yeah, I was just wondering if that can be alleviated by like just having students, like we could have a warning or something when because I guess what we're looking at is an opt-in plan ideally. And at that point, you could just warn students of the possibility of data being stored in the US or whatever it is.
Sindhu, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so for that, yeah, that there are ways kind of around that. It would be we would just have to get the consent from it in terms of opting out. From my understanding, it would be mandatory, so it's kind of an all or nothing deal. All students have to pay to get the $10.
Thank you, Sindhu. On to Aspen's list.
Yeah, hi. I was gonna say that if SFSS doing this petition and
I'm very sorry, Aspen. You're glitching out right now, so I can't hear you. I don't know if this is an issue that everyone else is also having, but I think there's something off with the computer at your end because I can't hear you.
can you hear me better now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I was just maybe speaking too softly then. I was saying that Sindhu mentioned that there were some issues with the SFSS signing this petition, that it would maybe perhaps be better if SFU did it instead of us having to make that. So if and something that SFSS could do is sign a petition to hand into SFU for them to approve having the Grammarly membership for students. I don't know if that's what was that would be something that would be viable. Yeah. Sorry, I know that that wasn't necessarily a question. Yeah, it was just an idea.
Is this something that we can continue as a discussion item for next meeting as well and get some further feedback looking at that as a potential option?
Okay. Sounds good.
List from Evan.
Can the SFSS team come up with a proposal of some sort, and then we can decide at the next meeting if it's something we want to go with or not, and then counselors will have a bit more advanced time to review it.
Cindy, your direct response.
Yeah, for sure. So in the briefing note right now, so if there is a more updated version, we'll be sure to send that out. There are 4 recommendations. So if counselors want to look through that and then come back with ones that they're more aligned with, I think that could work for our next discussion at our next meeting.
Sounds good. As we're going to discuss it more at our next meeting, and in the interest of ending of everyone going home, as it's already 8:25 and we're getting close to the end of the meeting time, if there's no further lists, I'm going to move on to the engineering and CSSS travel funding grant and conference fund. Is there any further lists on this? This is back to new business, I believe. Thank you, Simmer, for the motion. CSSS and ESSS grant and travel conference fund use. Whereas per SFSS club and student union funding guidelines mentions funding for student group events cannot be combined with student union travel and conference funding unless approved by SFSS Council, be resolved to allow special permission to allow CSSS to use both grant and travel conference funding for Silicon Valley trip, be it further allowed to allow ESSS both grant and travel funding, both grant and travel and conference funding for the Western Engineering Competition. I move. Does anyone second?
Sustainable energy seconds.
Sustainable energy seconds. Now opening discussion on this item. If you have any lists, please speak now. List from Sindhu.
Yeah, I think it's fairly straightforward for these 2 groups. We're just asking for council to give permission to use 2 different fundings, which we normally don't allow according to the funding guidelines, just given the magnitude of their events. So I think it's a fair request. There's still an ultimate cap on the requests that they can ask from the travel and conference fund, but if they were able to use both, it would be helpful in the scenario, so it would lessen the burden from their actual grant.
That makes a lot of sense to me. Unless there's anything further, I'm going to move on to voting on this motion. I'm seeking unanimous consent for this motion. Seeking unanimous consent for this motion. If there's any dissent, please speak up now. No hands raised, no dissent. This motion is carried. We are now moving on to the 30 minutes Q&A. Are there any questions? This is any questions going once? Any questions going twice? Any questions going 3 times? I am not hearing any questions. I assume you've all seen the attachments from earlier. We're now moving on to adjournments. I move. Can I get a second?
Say second.
CSA said that louder. CSA seconds. Be it resolved to adjourn the meeting at 8:29 p.m. Thank you for your time today. It was a great meeting. Got you out before 8:30. Barely before 8:30, but it was still before 8:30. Thank you, everyone. See y'all in 2 weeks.